What is up, chat gang? I am, of course, the magical Mr. Mephisto, the most dangerous man in Age of Sigmar, the most dangerous man in Warhammer, now the most dangerous man in Vampire the Masquerade. I've basically not a man anymore. I think I'm the most dangerous man who does charitable works for mental health as well. I'm just made out of tinier dangers. Like that character in The Tick. I'm made out of tinier men.
Oh yeah.
So what's going on?
The Russian dolls guy. I remember that.
What?
The Tick.
What is up, chat gang? Welcome to season 4 of RantCast. Yes, that's right, season 4. This is going into my 4th year as a podcaster now. As many of you know, I took a couple months off after the Rantathon, where we raised over $12,000 for mental health for Take This. Couldn't have done it without these two awesome folks here who just, what better way to bring back RantCast than to basically quick draw the two biggest guns I got, like a Grackletooth gunfighter in Rifts. And,
yes, excellent. We're starting with the Rifts already.
Yeah.
As
Kevin,
should be the case.
Kevin Simbedia has entered the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is Mephisto.
As has his lawyer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and his lawyer. And then he leaves the chat. Yep. That's the order of things.
So this is actually a special time of the year for me. Usually October is Mephtober. It starts a little bit early because I don't stream on the 31st. I spend that with family. So if you're Mephtober is not bound by mere mortal time constraints. It transcends multiple months. For Mephtober, it's usually my time to celebrate all things spooky. This month, I will be doing 6, or is it 5, AOS RantCasts, all with a horror theme. Tonight's episode is Scariest Armies. This is going to be a twofer. We've got...
It's so spooky.
It's so scary, so spooky. So I've got two special guests here with me. Gentlemen, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Yeah,
Heywoah, you go first.
I am Heywoah. I make Age of Sigmar content and play waifu games. Some people have become interested in this, which is good.
Very good. I agree with both of those statements.
Yeah, catch me on YouTube once every 4 years that I upload, and on Twitch several times a week, if you feel like it.
I don't think my lich is actually going to balance there. So, yeah, you actually just did a couple like really awesome YouTube videos. Obviously, best centerpieces. Age of Sigmar wins by a huge margin. But I really liked your like gamer mentality video. What did you call it? It was
called Attitude, but then I used extra words for keyword searches and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's a topic and a type of video that just isn't clickable. Like, it isn't needed. People aren't gonna really want to watch something like that. So it was a video that I knew wasn't going to do particularly well metric wise, and yet I made it anyway because I felt like it was important, and maybe a little bit of pushback against a lot of the attitude I see in the community in various ways. And I think it's just helpful, or my intent is for it to be helpful as a way to think about things, as an attitude, as a kind of a mentality, I suppose. And it has to do with competition, but it doesn't have to, right? If you don't go to tournaments, I would suggest watching it anyway. I made it in the format of those video essays where they have that World Cafe from NPR like real low in the background, and they swell it at the end and stuff. So hey, it's also some a bunch of paintings by one of my don't want to say it's my favorite artist, but I just like that every painting he's ever done is a bunch of old dudes or old women just talking about stuff in some room. And
Catitude. Yeah, I mean, I liked it because I think it's just life advice. It's not just like
it can apply to life as well. And I think
expectations is having healthy expectations is basically everything. So it like you said, it sort of trended checking. I don't need to tell you. Go watch this fucking video and tell everyone else to watch it.
And also, there's a sub theme of like, I don't want to say self-awareness, but it is that also. As a tough love summary, I guess, don't kid yourself. Know what you want. The choices you make bring you to a certain place, and if you're not happy with it, well, then now you are the one who has to change stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Or become okay with it, which is also fine. If what you are doing is enjoyable, then really there is no problem. Like if you lose every game you ever play, but you're not trying to do particularly well, you just want to paint stuff, move little dudes around, be in a social situation, it doesn't really matter to you if you win or not, and then you always lose or whatever. Well, I mean, you bought your ticket and now you're riding your donkey, and if that really is fun for you, then there is no problem. I'm not telling everyone to get good. I'm just telling you that if you cannot handle doing poorly while also putting forth no effort at all, then it's sort of like you've made your bed and now you're sleeping in it and you don't appreciate it. So either you need to find a mentality that doesn't give too much of a shit and enjoys it anyway, or make a change.
So there's an awesome segue here because I guess for simplicity's sake, I say I like the Soulsborne games, but I really just like Sekiro, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring. Like the actual Dark Souls games are like, yeah, they're fine. They're it's fantasy.
I mean, they were clearly progressing. Like,
yeah. I think
don't
2 is
say that they've been getting better because I don't know the difference between 1,
2
2, or 3.
Two is the high point. 3 actually was a step backwards. But like I say, I'm a Soulsborne fan, and there is a. By the way, I'll also be playing a bunch of scary video games. I will be streaming 30 days, not straight. I'm going to take breaks from my mental health, but like basically 30 days straight. So if you want spooky games, AOS content, like 30 it's Mephisto, baby. Woo! This is a celebration of me. But the meme in the Soulsborne community is to like say like, get good, like sort of
it's a skill issue.
Yeah. And like kind of
that's good advice way more often than people
I think it was the second time I was on Vince's show. Our other guest, I said something that basically equivocated to get good, and it was like a comment was like, I think Mephisto just told me to get good in the most eloquent way I've ever heard, or something like that.
Yeah, you can certainly watch the video and receive that. Heywoah tells you to get good for 7 minutes. Like it could be that kind of thing.
So our other guest,
only if your problem is that you're not good. If that is your problem, right? If it's not your problem, then without a care in the world.
So speaking of telling people to get good, the man who's been telling people to get good at painting, as far as I know, like a Time Lord, he transcends in direction, in time and space, in all directions.
That upload schedule is massive.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Vince Venturella, the inimitable. How's it going, my friend?
Going pretty good.
The man who needs no introduction, the man with no name, Zap Brannigan. Like,
sure, I guess. Yeah. I'm Vince. Hi, everyone. I make YouTube videos too, as you just said. So there you go. That's what I do. Yeah, man, I don't know. It's been a very busy week. But hey, can't complain. Still here. So I'm excited to be joining you again, Meph. It's always good to be here. Always good to see both of you gentlemen.
I think we might break if we didn't go live so late, we might break the internet. But luckily it's like most people go to bed. It's a Thursday night, so people have work. They're trying to finish out their grind set. And
that Sigmar male grind set.
Yeah, the Sigmar male. Vince Venturella, yeah.
Got it. It's important.
So I want everyone to know for all of Mephtober, I'm not going as hard in the paint part of the apt.
Got him.
Yeah, got him. I'm not going as hard in the paint for this because I can't run 2 charity marathons to the caliber I do the Rantathon, 30 straight days, whatever.
Right, but the average person can't run 1, so
it's true. Get on my level, cowards. But this month, all of Mephtober, you'll see a little donate button down there. It's for to write love on her arms. It is another mental health charity, this one focusing on depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. So if you click that donate button, every little bit counts. I do have some giveaways for later on the month. I'll be I didn't quite get the Tiltify page fully done in time, but there'll be a full schedule by tomorrow. There'll be incentives like a black coach. I've got some board games to give away. I'm finally biting the bullet and getting into Marvel Crisis Protocol. So many people sent me MCP crap. I got duplicates of things. So I'm giving away my
Hold on, you're giving away a black coach? Are you trying to make this charity not get any money? What are you doing here?
Well, it's a good luck charm. It's
okay.
it's a good luck charm. Every charity stream, every giveaway I've ever done, I've featured a black coach. And at this point, I'm not superstitious. If you were to put me on a lie detector test and ask me if I'm superstitious, I would say no and pass every time.
Well,
and
it's not superstition; it's sentimentality. Sometimes there's an overlap, but they can be different.
Sure, yeah, it's sentimental. Yeah, but I also have a lucky pair of socks I only wear for the basketball games that Giannis Antetokounmpo really needs to win. They're my popsicle socks, by the way, and to maintain their power, I can't wear them all the time. Otherwise, to maintain their power, I mean the power balance of the universe. Because if I was that lucky all the time, basically I would just rule I'd be the new Bezos, and I would be.
I got a pair of those. It's a bunch of Stegosauruses riding skateboards in 1995 color scheme. So we're talking neon yellow, neon pink, Twitch purple. The class. The absolute class.
Oh, kicker. I was absolutely wearing the popsicle socks when Giannis crushed your Suns in Game 6.
Oh, hey, we have a good question from chat. What is Vince currently painting right now?
Mm-hmm.
Sexy rat lady. I'm going to make everybody question a lot of things about themselves.
Sexy
rat lady. I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me.
Yes, indeed. We're gonna awaken something in a lot of people. Hey, well, that's what's gonna happen here.
So the other thing, all throughout Mephtober, if we hit like $20 increments, I'm going to be polling horror trivia cards that we'll answer at the end of the stream or it intervenes. I'm suspending all that tonight, however, because it is the first RantCast in 2 months, and I kind of want to focus on the guests. So the donations are live. You can donate to this excellent charity. If you actually look down there, I've got a thing where it says your impact. It actually lays out how much money affects who, which I think is one of the greatest things that this charity does. Is they're like, look, $25, gets 80 some folks access to cheaper resources for cheaper mental health care and stuff like that. So
a little transparency can go a long way, especially when it comes to charities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, and they're high in rate track. They're high in both Charity Navigator and the other one I always forget the name of. They're maxed out on both of the two main ones I use. So so good charity. But enough about that. Enough self-plugging thing that I'm terrible at.
Well, there's one more, and this is a piggyback onto Ruboy DOS with that 10-month sub. Appreciate that to Meph. Currently, this month, September, it is Subtember. 25% off gift subs. So, just saying. That's a Twitch official thing, by the way. So please enjoy a discount.
Not Meth Barracuda. That's it'll pump you up just as much, but it won't be as harmful to your teeth. Mephtober is like a high, but you get to keep your teeth. Enjoy.
Well, that's nice. I like my teeth. They're useful.
Yeah,
they help me masticate.
Are you a master masticator? Are you a?
I don't know. I actually don't like. I don't like chewing unpleasant things. So no, I would say I'm average. I'm an average masticator at best.
Any masticators in chat? Don't be shy.
Yeah. Any big masticators? So I see we got a bunch of flats showing up, and when our powers combine Fusion Hod, they become flats gang. It's chat gang plus flat gang. So, or big chat gang is also the other one I've seen.
Big chat.
Yeah, big chat has been the other one.
Big gang.
Yeah, big. Ooh, I don't like that one, but yeah. It sure seems like a worthwhile thing to. Hey, Te Barracuda, and that is the correct pronunciation as far as I know. Hey, it's working. All right. Incantabot's alive again, too, by the way. Incantabot died during a Rantathon. I had to fix the fucking
the poor guy.
That's the third time this bot program, this old IRC, text file that I programmed back before, right when Nightbot was around, but, none of the, making stuff easy for you existed. You didn't just, click a button on on like Streamlabs or OBS or whatever, and like just have a chatbot. You had to like go through all the hoops, make an actual dummy account because you wanted it to have a cool name, and you had to like program an IRC client. I had to install IRC.
Also, it took a little while for him to come back, but he rallies on a 6. What can you do?
Mm-hmm. How's it going, Bridget Lilly? I'm seeing a lot of like first-time chatters showing up too. I suppose it's been long overdue for a RantCast. So, as I mentioned at the kind of the jump there, before I got like sidetracked, I'm a little out of practice with this live streaming thing. You don't think of it as a skill until you start, until you're rusty and you can feel the ring rust. Like I could feel it. I could my.
It is for sure a skill, I would say, or at least it was a skill for me in that I was not good at it, and I got better through practice, which is how you do everything, right? Also, Latirius, hey, thanks for the gift sub. I appreciate it.
Well, I've streamed. I think I've been a streamer like, how old's my son? 9 years. I've streamed for 9 years. I started on Justin TV as a different name. I think it was like Leetgeist or something like that, or Spaced Ghost, one of my two older ones. And then Justin TV switched with Twitch, and I changed my name when that happened to something else. And then I decided I wanted to like really stream, and I'm like, well, I need a brand, and I had no idea what to like fucking call myself because I hate naming things. Like I don't. Every time I start a new MMO, it's agony coming up with an account name. I know.
For me, account name, it's not that bad, but character name, that's where that's where we grind to a halt.
3 hours of thinking about character names, like what is this tune going to be known as forever? And if you're a particular boomer, if you're like old and playing MMOs, you didn't get to change your character name once it was out there. Like
the only way you could do that is by having one that was inappropriate, and then a GM changes it for you.
We did that on purpose a couple times. Like
I gamed the system, but the system is there to be gamed. The past tense form of stream is strum. You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Stroom.
It's kind of like hanged and hung.
Yeah.
Right?
Any stroomers?
Yeah. So we did the So yeah, just on this tangent while Vince is kind of out there for a while, I decided to go back to my old namesake, which was actually in college, an anime club of all things. It was called Otaku Anonymous. You didn't have a real name in Otaku Anonymous.
Because it was anonymous. You had to come up with a code name, a secret code name.
And my code name, I proposed Mephisto because of a huge Diablo 2 stan. There's an anime character named Mephisto in Demon City Shinjuku. So I'm like, oh yeah, there's some good harmony there. And then there was a Commodore 64 game called Mr. Mephisto. So I'm like, oh, Mephisto. It felt like it united all the clans, but you couldn't have a cool name. And so one of my friends said that like, no, his real nickname is the Magical Mr. Mephisto because it sounds like a magical bunny rabbit. Technically, my entire nickname, it's like a pimp named Slickback or a tribe called Quest. It's the Magical Mr. Mephisto because it sounds like a magical bunny rabbit. That's technically my entire thing, nickname, and then my last name is Maury. So I've just doxed myself. So I went back to like Mephisto, and I started streaming like hardcore, and I got pretty damn good at it. I'm not great at multitasking, and I recently learned it's a myth entirely. We're like prompting myself to look at the chat on like sort of a interval, so that I got used to that rhythm of looking at chat. It's a lot like jazz music. You just kind of like you get yourself in a rhythm, you understand like the beats, and so I got used to that rhythm. My conversational style, the rant cam came out way back in the day. I guess I could switch to it here. It's not going to work right now, but this look at how bad that GIF is. I even like wand tooled it the wrong way. Like, do you see this? Yeah, that thing is 9 years old.
the magic wand that leaves the outside all.
Yeah, it's just like it's all gnarled and jagged. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to keep a little scuff in there because that's part of the joke.
But that's at this point,
it really does enhance it sometimes.
It's part of the charm at this point, so I can't get rid of the rant cam, and the rant cam won't work because I'm using Discord to broadcast my video right now. But like the rant cam became part of it because I would just end up pausing video games and ranting for so long that it just and several years later. you came up. You basically said to me, like, "Hey, you should come play Warhammer again. It's good now." It's
Yeah,
like
it's good now.
your exact sentence to me was, "It's good now." That was the pitch. Like, you should come play Warhammer again. It's good now. And I remember that, like the just sort of like indelibility of that moment. And I agonized over what to play again. I had that opportunity when I was young. I love Skaven. It's weird. I know. I'm kind of like the Death Stand. Look at this adorable as fuck Lich with a little M. Yeah, it's totally not
The
my
blush.
phylactery. Please don't destroy it.
Yeah, it's good. Remember good.
Remember good.
Remember good.
Yeah, and I had this like moment of agony where I'm like, well, do I pick up where I left off, play Death again? I didn't quite understand factions. Like, it just wrapping my head around like not having a book that my army was from was really difficult. In that, like, so GHB 2017 is kind of when I jumped in. Like, it was a tail end of 2017 is when you kind of when I started playing with you, and I,
Yeah, it was like a car that was currently driving down the highway, but it wasn't finished. And so everyone driving it was like a mechanic, and it kind of had wheels, and they were just building it as they were driving. And so not every army had a book at all. Some people were using like Grand Alliance, Death, just every random unit in the entire Grand Alliance, just kind of shoving them into an army and playing with it. It was, they were building it as they were going, and yet it was still better than fantasy battles. So what are you going to do? And plus, it's good now. So
no, it's
under the bridge.
It's gotten. I think it's gotten like progressively better. The trend is, sometimes there's 2 steps forward, 1 step back with Age of Sigmar, but for the most part, that trend has maintained like a solid trajectory towards.
Yeah, and I think it's important to keep that in mind because you can have a bunch of complaints and a bunch of legitimate complaints, both about GW and the game, but it's unequivocally true that they have been improving a lot. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's sobering to think about that, and sometimes it's depressing to think about that. Where like, this is the best. Mm-hmm. This is leaps and bounds ahead of what it used to be, and it's still like this. Well, yes, but also, yeah.
One of my concerns is they're moving toward. I'll put a pin in it. Maybe I'll forget it later. But at some point in time, the Age of Sigmar community is going to need to reconcile the trajectory they want this game to head in. Do they really truly want it to, become the esport or whatever? And what that game looks like is much different from what the game is. Now, it's not that it can't get there. And I don't disparage anyone who wants it to get there. But I don't think anyone knows that you have to, like people have like unlinked it in their minds. The stuff you have to change about the game, the endearing, the quirks, the imperfections, even like some of the like things that aren't necessarily even imperfect or bad, but they're just not conducive to that style of play. Like, you're gonna have to end up with armies that are a little bit more homogenized.
Yeah, like for instance, a game takes casual players something like 4 hours to play, 3 maybe 4. Like the average player of Age of Sigmar takes them like 3 or 4 hours to play a game. You just can't have rounds that long if you're gonna have a proper tournament. You just can't, right? So you could
you can't get proper Swiss pairing above 30 players, right?
No, you need 8 rounds, and you can't do that.
Right.
At a 2-day event, maybe you could, but you still can't cut the top 8. You still have secondaries that reward the easiest path to victory instead of the hardest, like all this other stuff, right? Even if 4th edition came out and they streamlined the game humongously, so it's twice as fast. 2-hour rounds are still too slow. You could have like 1K tournaments, maybe, right?
But then you're not playing the full game.
Now here's
right?
where it gets into what you were saying. It doesn't really improve it, and it might in fact even take away some of the things that you really like about it, like playing with 2,000 point armies and being able to take this unit and that unit and fun stuff. If it's going down to 1K, then it's really just bare bones. I'm playing the good stuff, no room for anything fun, right? And that would be a drag. I played in a 3,000 point tournament at Brew City Brawl, Bash, something like that.
Brew City Brawl, yeah.
That was
Brendan Melnick's event from
that was
Cubic
probably one of the
Shenanigans,
more fun tournaments I went to, because 3,000 points, you had an entire room of maybe half of the people there were competitive, honestly less. At the average AOS tournament, there's like 20% competitive
It's
people,
you know the top
7
table,
or
yeah.
8% top table. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking in a 100-person tournament, there are approximately 9 people who have the mindset of top tables, and we'll get there. But still, I would say almost everyone in the room was playing their 2,000 point army, and then just threw crap in there that they owned to get to 3,000, and that was actually a hell of a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And so if the game gets smaller and you're using fewer things, it would take away a lot of what I enjoy about it. And then after that, it's a pretty simple compare and contrast. Okay, what are we getting rid of? What do we gain? Is it worth it? And also keep in mind that whatever the official way is to play, that is the way that people will play the game. Like that's what the game is, right? So if
it becomes
Games Workshop,
monolithic.
yeah, if Games Workshop adopts esports attitude, right, and they're like, okay, this is going to be separate, right? You guys can play your Tonka toys, little GI Joe way if you want. There's 3 ways to play. Everyone will ignore that. But the esports like tournament way, that's 1K lists. That's what Age of
And then
Sigmar
that's
will
what
become.
everyone will start
It'll
playing.
be it'll just be 1K. Right?
It's astonishing.
And that's how that will work.
It's astonishing EDH and Commander took off the way they did. And I know why Wizards of the Coast
through great
backed
pains
it.
They tried to
Stop it. The constantly Wizards
you have
tried
an
to
independent rules body that isn't employed by Wizards and all this. And
it was what, like 3 homies on the internet with an updated ban list all the time on like some rando forum. Was it the Source, right? Like MTG the Source.
Yeah, MTG the Source or MTG Salvation maybe. The Source was more legacy. But
yeah.
Still, it's a lot of the quirks and problems people have with EDH are because they're trying so hard to
keep it
both casual and
fun. Yeah, like interesting.
Your group gets to play the way they want to, and interesting in their way.
And yet now now EDH has broken down into two versions of EDH, which is like EDH and CEDH, right? Like one, it's like competitive.
Yeah, and there used to be Dual Commander, which is 1v1 with a French ban list and stuff like that. But at the risk of being flippant, nobody gave a shit about that one. So it possibly still exists.
Well, and anyway, that's exactly what happened, Domir, is Wizard of the Coast embraced it because they're like, wait, we can just sell shit in random side boxes and just print money.
And people buy it.
Like Soul Rings came back into print because they're like
the most played format of all time.
Interesting.
Nothing is even close. Because it's also Type 2, standard, modern, sealed, limited.
Well, and part of that evolution
is the most popular format by far. More people play it, more people care about it, more people buy cards for it.
Well, see, this is the real. I mean, this is
the customer's spoken.
The real spooky season.
Once the customer's right.
The real spooky season, the real horror is Age of Sigmar getting everybody people want who constantly compare it to Magic the Gathering. They're just such different games. They're such different animals. Like
they are.
MTG is a linear game. It's a very linear game. Also, the water level of the player. They talk about how tight the rules are. They print an entire fucking book, like thicker than grab every GHB that's come out during the existence of Age of Sigmar. When something says banding or tap or every one of those rules is fully defined in that manual. The thing is like
they use programmer code language / legalese,
right,
to write the rules,
and you have that
so that a computer program could just run it and it would just work.
But
which is why it was kind of a culture shock when I entered Age of Sigmar and Warhammer, and you had all these people talking about rules as intended, and I'm like, what is that? What's that word you're using? Rules as intended. What is that? Oh, that's when you're not sure what the designers meant by a rule. So maybe you do it this way or you do it. And I'm like, what do you mean? You just do what the rule says. Because I came from Magic.
Right, and
they're like, well, it might be broken if it's that. Well, then, but that's what the rule does. So if it's broken, they'll change the rule. What's the problem?
Yeah,
well,
just play it the way.
Maybe they won't. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, that wasn't quite where I was going with it, because Dungeons and Dragons has Raw versus Rye, or rules as written, and
I think Magic. I think
Raw and Rye
more different.
Yeah, they have their. They have their debates too on that crap. Like, everyone's got it, and Magic the Gathering has it too. That's why you have judges that come over, for
right. But there is a fact of the matter, right? With Magic rules.
Usually it's
D&D or
right.
something.
But usually the part that happens with Magic the Gathering is unintended interactions.
Yeah, and you
then
don't know how to resolve it.
right.
There is a resolution somewhere in the rules. You just need like a
judge
rules
to come.
interpreter to tell you.
Yeah. And then you got to roll with what the judge says. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but where I was.
Whereas in D&D, there just might not be. But
Well,
that's
your
fine
GM
because
is
it's not,
supposed to be.
well, it's not adversarial. It's a cooperative game.
Yeah.
And you have a
Well,
storyteller who's like the first sentence is invent your own rules if you want, buddy, right?
yeah,
And
rule 0. But the
that.
thing is like even Gygax and going back to like D&D was initially adversarial. The GM was trying to kill you.
Yeah. There's an old school way to play it like that. That has survived for the most part.
It's still there, and there's a culture clash right now because the like sort of
there's the Splatterhouse stuff from old school Gen Con. What was it called? Killer Breakfast, I think.
And TPK,
where people
and
try to
like
TPK you in pickup games and things like that, and that's fun if that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes back to the Rule 0, Adventure 0, where you sit around the table. Okay, what are we into?
Yeah, what type of game are we about to play? Yeah,
which I've adapted to AOS.
AOS.
I'm talking about.
Yep.
This is a social game.
Round 0, essentially,
it's not
right?
D&D, and it's not Magic, but it's somewhere around there. It's closer to Magic than D&D, I think, but you should still like get some of that EDH. Like, okay, what are we looking for here? What kind of game are we interested in?
Yeah,
and not just like match play or narrative or open play.
But where I was going with this was like all those MTG rules are, like you said, like a programming manual. They exist in the book. I remember they used to actually sell you the little one with your like starter pack. It was like this thick. It was about the same.
I still use one of those as a divider. I have like the Magic rules text.
I was like super
divider.
Like because it was printed on essentially like the same size as like a card stock. It was a pamphlet, right?
Yeah, one of those little Bibles. Right?
Yeah, the tiny Bible, exactly. And that fucking thing is dense. It's tiny print. It's like microscopic and stuff. But like the thing that we don't talk about is the player skill water level or the player water level. Eventually they stop printing on the cards what the rule does. They just say this thing has exalted. Like,
yeah, that's the difference between advanced sets and core sets, right? So core sets have reminder text for stuff like trample, and then advanced level sets don't.
And that's
Kaladesh is an advanced set, and then 10th edition is a core set.
And that's something that we don't talk about when you talk about like MTG rules, because there's a lot taken for granted in the MTG rules, because a lot of it is the rules education of the players.
Yeah. And a lot of that is in the hands of other players.
Yes.
It behooves you for your players to know what's going on.
Right. And I don't know if AOS has ported in the same culture of accountability and teaching each other rules, for better or worse. And that's the thing that's often left out of the MTG versus AOS conversation is like you have a game old and storied. They're both ancient fucking games. One chooses to be on a 3-year cycle for some fucked up reason, where they just like, oh, let's change the rules again. Like, okay, fine. But you don't have that time to develop like, well, this is what, charge roll is always 2d6. Like you don't have that like, well, combat phase is always here. Like it's the way, like first, first main, second main, like you don't have those things that have just like stuck with the system the entire time to where like you never have like, okay, new players have to learn it, but they usually osmose it from playing against other players because that shit's like its own language and it's just second nature to so many MTG players. I still say, like, what is it? Untap, upkeep, like, draw. I still say it in my head every time I play Magic the Gathering.
A little mantra. Mm-hmm.
I still say it like a mantra, yeah. Every time, so I don't miss my upkeep. And also, as a control player, you remind yourself where you can interact with somebody.
Yeah.
On your
draw your
step.
card, but don't put it in your hand yet.
Yeah, on your draw step.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, like, And if you actually write out all the priority passes, every single time, it is like a computer program. You just cyclical redundancy error, right? Like, look at all these like priority passes. MTG it's still a linear game. It's binary. It's my board state versus your board state. There's no 3-dimensional space in between. I have 60 cards in this deck. Like they are fixed numbers. I'm going to curve out. I'm going to, blah, blah, blah. Like I remember when we were learning how to play Can Thresh. It was like kind of like the first time we had seen tempo really
Yeah,
become a concept.
after Dead Guy Ale by
Yeah,
Takula,
yeah,
and
and
it got
can
adapted into
we were
blue green.
goldfishing it,
Yeah.
and I remember like it really was. Can you play the card? Play the card. Deck.
Yeah, and then they came out with the Brainstorm Autopilot, or what was it called? Check Pile, eventually, which was even more that.
Team America was a little bit that too. Like,
yeah,
just like
well, Team America was on the other side of it, where it was like,
well, here's all the good stuff.
Kicking a baby or kicking someone when they're down of tempo, and then you just go even farther, and it becomes Team America.
But like, there isn't really an autopilot in AOS. You still have to fucking measure. At the end of the, there is no, can you move here? Yes, no.
I think there totally is. All right, like, you have deployment plans for every battle plan, right? And you mostly just do those unless your opponent army can outdrop you or has enough reach, which you know ahead of time. And okay,
even then, but now your opponent,
the line, they're going to be this far away, and I can get the Y far away.
Sure,
so we just
it's
kind of flowcharty, but auto.
But it is more of a flow chart than a sort of more of a linear progression. Can you counterspell this? Can you not?
Do you have it? Does my opponent have it?
Yeah,
I guess Magic does have a lot more of the
direct.
This is what it borrows from poker, right? Do they have it? What are they trying to do? Who's the control? Who's the beatdown? And there's much less of that in AOS because there's so much fewer. There's so much less hidden information.
And the randomness, and the randomness is a constant instead of like a bluff, right?
Yeah, or like trying to draw something, but like an actual interaction, the randomness there is whether or not your opponent has something to do with it. But a 2/2 is always going to lose to a 3/3.
But that's way different from like
whereas in AOS, a 2/2 might beat a 3/3
right.
if you can't stop rolling sixes.
Right.
But it just becomes part of the calculation then.
Sure.
And it usually doesn't happen, so it's fine.
I mean, yes and no. Like in Magic the Gathering, I think it shifts the culture of like how you think about like playing, because it's like, well, if I had this card in my deck, I'd have won here. And right. Like most MTG players don't really.
And
what
they mean is, I would probably win because I didn't think they had anything,
and you don't really like start to think that way in part of your like most MTG players I knew didn't think that way as a barrier to learning to get better. Right? They're like, well, if I had this card, I'd have beat them. You don't like, and then you don't like.
You mean if they were playing a sideboard card, if they had that available to them? Or
whatever.
If they would have drawn it, or
if they would have drawn it, right? If I had my Force of Will at the beginning of the game, then it would have been a different game. Like, what the fuck do you learn from that? Like,
take mulligans better. Mulliganing is a skill.
Yeah, knowing when to mulligan, knowing when to pitch. Yeah.
You took a chance and you lost. Sometimes you took a good chance. You had an 80% chance and you lost anyway. It sucks, but in the future, you should not choose 20% from some kind of gambler's fallacy. If you got yourself into a position where you're 80% to win, you take that every time, because if you play that way 1,000 games and 800 of them you'll win, and over time you'll get there, right? It's about my attitude video touches a little bit about that, right?
Yeah,
where a lot of players might look at the top card, like, what would I have drawn next? And level 1 is you want to see what you would have drawn next to see, would I have won if that top card was the one that I had drawn this turn instead of a turn too late? And then the level 2 is, you shouldn't look at the top card because that's cope and you lost. And it doesn't matter what the top card is. The top card was a random card. Oh. It wasn't that exact card. It was a random card because it's more helpful to think about it in that respect. And so you shouldn't look at the top card. And then level 3 is, you actually should look at the top card again. You swing all the way back. Because had you played better and delayed for an extra turn somehow, you really would have drawn that particular card.
Well, and I don't know. There's a...
But it shifts the blame from, the dice, randomness, the universe, to, well, what can I do to learn from this or improve or get better?
To not be in that...
Because that's what's under your control. Dice are not under your control. Random shuffling is not, unless you're cheating or your opponent is.
You mess with the deck builds.
That's not under your control, and so focusing on it is not only unhelpful, but the opposite. It's like hurtful, to your mentality,
Well,
like thinking about the random chances of stuff, because you can't control those, and so you shouldn't worry about them. You worry about the things you can control, because there's a purpose to that. There's usefulness there.
decks are so fine tuned now with like the statistical like likelihood of drawing XYZ card that like even the like gold fishing and getting to where like I am going to go off turn 2 or 3, like
Yeah, and how likely is that? And then people crunching the numbers on that, which is useful information to know. I do some of that in AOS, where, you know, how much damage does a Stonehorn on the charge do to, this save, that save, that save. I like print those off. Just it's useful to keep it in your head.
Right.
Like,
so you have that in your head. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have that in your head. That's not a win condition in Age of Sigmar. Just that it does that you know the math on that, isn't a win condition. In Magic the Gathering, I know if I fucking...
I mean, it can be, but that's a kind of a...
But just that one
thing,
interaction, and that's where that 3 dimensions begins to happen and develop. You can know the math on a unit and what is likely supposed to happen, but any individual action you take in a game of Age of Sigmar isn't a win or loss state.
No, a lot of people really think that it is. I think. Have you ever heard somebody complain?
You would be liberated
I
if you didn't think that way.
Right?
Yeah, if you didn't think that way, you'd be a better. You would. This is the most eloquent way of telling someone to get good. Like there is no like the win and loss state of Age of Sigmar, and this is part of like what I'm talking about. The difference between Age of Sigmar and different things are different. Like all right, the stream's over, everybody. Like it's. But like that linear aspect of MTG, if I get my shit, I win the game. I want to count to 20,
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Like, oh, my opponent cast Brainstorm. Should I counter it? Or should I counter the thing that they'll draw? Well, all right,
I mean, there's moves and counter moves in Age of Sigmar too. There's board control aspects. There's
I didn't
denying charges.
Yeah.
I mean, there is that stuff, but again, there's the fact that like at each level of interaction in Age of Sigmar, it's not hinging on a loss state or a win state, or sorry, a loss state or a win condition. There are moments where it becomes that.
Yeah, in retrospect, which is not entirely wrong to think about it that way, but you can take it way too far really quickly. Like, had I won that priority, I would have won, and I lost priority, so I lost. Like, true, actually, but what did you do to get up to that exact point in the game? Is there something you could have done or played or made a different decision, or even before the game even deployed differently, whatever? What are the things that you did slightly wrong that got you to the point where you won or lost based on a single die roll? Like perhaps you could have had the game locked up and it wouldn't matter if your opponent won or lost because it's bottom of turn 3 and now somebody gets to remove the objective.
Always when you're running your self-diagnostics, and the better you get at running them too, which is the interesting part, right? If you're, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect in practice when you're trying to figure out like, do I have a lesson to learn from this game? Nah, I'm in the Valley of Despair.
Dunning-Kruger, the classic, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I'm in the Valley of Despair, which means that you're in that bottom part where like you think you're the shit and you have nothing to learn, right? Like. I'm the best driver on the road. All these other assholes are ruining my driving experience, and like.
Oh, am I thinking of the wrong effect? Isn't Dunning-Kruger your confidence?
Yeah.
Your confidence about a subject is essentially indirectly proportional to your actual knowledge of it.
Not entirely. It's peaks and valleys the whole way up.
Okay.
And the Dunning-Kruger effect is it constantly goes up. And whenever you're at, like, so you get to the next echelon of, like, knowledge in physics. And then you find out there's actually this other, like, physics professor who knows yet more than you. And if you're not aware of the Dunning-Kruger effect, you're like, I'm the most mastered physicist in the field. And then when they're saying some shit, you're like, well, who gives a fuck? And you never even bother to listen to them because you think you're mastered, right? And
yes, the Freddy Krueger effect, yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Wear your own merch while guesting on someone else's stream? I am. Oh yeah, wrong hat.
So, I was actually going to ask you about that hat. What is this hat here? It looked like a little Grim Reaper.
In a dumpster somewhere.
Really?
There we go. We got our own merch.
Yeah, there you go.
It cleaned off pretty nice.
Nice. Looked like a sweet little Reaper though. That was kind of cool. Big fan. Yeah, the Freddy Krueger instead of Dunning. Yeah. Nice.
Oh, for anybody wondering in chat, Vince is on the phone at the moment, and it's kind of an important personal thing having to do with Florida, so no big deal. We're just riding.
I've actually great players I've encountered over the years have been chill. Blah, blah. Yeah, when is our Misfits hat coming?
What was that?
Nothing. We're starting a gaming club. That'll happen later on this year. Basically like a remote gaming club for chat gangs and at all. Anyone who wants.
His wife is still there. They mentioned it on Warhammer Weekly. Okay, I didn't want to like directly just say something like that, but yeah, his wife's still there, probably talking about stuff. Well, she's fine, so no big deal.
When it comes to great players,
he's talking the James Workshop. Yeah,
James
about
Workshop.
that most recent video. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you're the great players tend to be testing themselves, which comes with there is ego involved in being good because there's a confidence that you require to be excellent.
Yeah. Well, there's a confidence you require to even attempt it, to show up,
right,
and really try to do it.
But there's also a necessary humility in it as well. Like you have to be aware enough to learn where your shortcomings are. And I always think that like the best players out there, sort of their first test is themselves. They're usually
they could tell you exactly how to defeat them, and they would.
Yes,
and you could.
Yeah. Well, it's all the times I walked up to a table.
It's like practicing your worst matchups the most often.
Yeah.
You should be doing that if you care. If you don't care, then fine. But at least in Magic testing, we always tested against our worst matchups the most, and we always played sideboard games the most. Like we do like a few main board, but who cares about that? We want to get into the sideboard cards. These are the games.
You got to test your tech. You got to test your
tech. Well, these are the matches that are slipping away from you. They're so close, but they're like sand through the hourglass, where you lost game one, and you need to clutch it out with that sideboard against a bad matchup and find a way to get there, right? And that's where because who you happen to be paired up against, if they're like the deck that beats you, or they're the deck that loses to you, that's chance. Your pairings are chance, in a sense, which you can't control. You can try to control it a little bit by predicting the metagame. And some people have a lot of success with that, others don't. But you can still get screwed by randomness, right? Oh, every single person at this tournament, like 80% were playing the deck I predicted. And so I played the thing that beats that. And I just randomly got paired against people who weren't playing that.
You get bumped out in the fucking jungle,
like you got
right?
Unlucky, okay. But you predicted it right. So once again, you do the things you can control. But it's a lot of being a competitive player, or maybe a competitive-minded person. This isn't just like games. This is sports and stuff too. Is hedging against randomness as much as you can, right?
No, you control yourself. Yeah.
Why do we choose a hero that gives us +1 to hit? Because it makes it more likely to hit. We are reducing the impact randomness can have on us.
Yeah.
If you could control randomness perfectly, like some sort of floating god, and just only like you roll 12 dice and they're all 6s every time, you actually don't need synergy heroes. What's the point? Why do you need +1 to hit if you just roll 6s every time, right? As if you were some Warcom article telling you how good Stonehorn Beast Riders was 2 years ago. But I mean, that just rolled right off me. I didn't even remember such a thing. Who would be salty still? Anyway, but you do that to affect magic or randomness in some way, in any way that you really can.
There's a lot of injections. It's like, imagine, just for the purpose of the metaphor, at every step you have to draw a card to be able to do something. Every time you go to do something in Age of Sigmar, randomness for the most part gets injected, with the exception of movement phase.
There are D6 rolls and coin flips in Magic, but they're universally hated and reviled and just ignored unless you can game them in some way to make them amazing. Why? Because Spike, the competitive brain, likes to be as much in control of his own destiny as possible, really for good or ill, if they have a decent attitude about it.
Right.
Which is to say, if you lose, it's because your opponent was better and you deserve to lose. And that's the law of the jungle. If you want to win next time, get better.
Yeah,
they're totally fine with that. And if you win, it's because you're a god and your opponent is trash and you are better. And so they're 100% committed to losing because their opponent was better, or winning because they're better, right? Mm-hmm. But when you add that extra step in there, or maybe the perceived extra step of, I'm better than my opponent, I know this, but he keeps flipping these fucking coins. I just got to say,
from 30 seconds ago, Gigabig donated $20 to to write Love Under Arms. Thank you for that.
Thanks for the Gigabig
The
donation.
name is Gigabig. Like, what a
Yeah.
great name.
Is that hyphenated?
The alliteration. No, it's one word. It's compacted, but
I like the cut of his jib.
They're a connoisseur, and so they capitalized Giga and Big and made them one word.
Yes.
Which I respect because I do that with RantCast. It's random.
Yeah, or when you're naming a character and they don't let you use spaces or underscores, you got to differentiate the words somehow.
Yeah, so Giga Big, but also that's $20, so I got to grab one of these. Speaking of card games, I got to grab a horror trivia card.
Timmy and Johnny is more okay with coin flips and dice rolls. Spike hates them. Yeah, Spike hates them. Johnny is intrigued by them, but only if he can find a way to create some fabulous machine around it. And Timmy likes flipping a coin because if it's heads, something humongous happens, right? Something big happens. Yo, if it's heads,
this is a good one.
it
Everyone
becomes a
should know.
20-20. If it's a tails, it dies, but who cares, right?
This is
Spike can't play destruction. He can play bone splitters. You can play bone splitters. I mean, the microwave stare, it is random, but when you're giving yourself a 3-up ward, that's gaming the system in a fun way. Yeah, the Fabulous Machine. I played that game on Windows 3.1. I won't pretend I didn't.
I finally had one of those coffee Coke things, by the way.
It's like a what is it? Rune Goldberg or something machine, I think. Rube Goldberg? I can't remember the man's name. Bad with names. If I roll a 12, you fucking die. Yeah. Boxcars, get them.
Yep. All right. So we were going to talk about some scary armies. We were going to do some scary armies to paint, but now we're going to switch over to the scary armies to play, which is your sort of portion of the show. Where do you want to go with this? This is your the ball's in your court.
So,
because I know nerds love sports metaphors.
Yeah. So, Vince is on here to give you the aesthetics of spooky, scary armies, right? So in your head right now, pretend that happened, and so you're, I've looked at a bunch of skeletons, and I looked at the, the Cursed City stuff and all that. Ruber Gold Dust, good one. Also Mason Knox, thanks to the tier 1, I appreciate it. Or rather, Meph appreciates it. Fuck, I'm not on my own stream, sorry.
I'm letting you do the this is my first stream back, oh man, like make this shit easy mode for me. I have 30 days of this.
No problem, Vince Venturella, from the chat. Appreciate it. We figured the show must go on. Second half will be aesthetics.
We vamped for a while talking about Magic the Gathering. We'll have the aesthetics like 1-2 punch come in here. But,
so now I come in for my segment, which is scary armies to play. And so Vince is doing the aesthetics. I'm doing the rules. I have for you a freak show.
Ooh, I'm already
tantalizing.
Kind of
what?
I'm already kind of on board for it.
Tantalizing, terrible, truly treacherous, and step right up. Feast your eyes upon the horror that I have for you. Only $5. 25% off, by the way, this month. And you too will be introduced to the scaries. Gits? Well,
Gits.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, I got a fine selection for you. 5, maybe 6. We'll play it by ear. Shall we start with Fire Slayers? We'll start with the Fire Slayers list.
All right. Fire. Good. You named them in a manner I can... All right. Go ahead and turn on monitor 3. Is that the correct one? Yes, it is. I just need to make sure that it is...
It's scary how fun Gits are to paint, for sure. Yeah, they have wonderful characterization on those models. I really appreciate it. As a matter of fact, spoiler, but Gits won my most recent competition for centerpieces, getting the due they deserve, at least on the aesthetic side of things.
All right. Let me get enhanced here for everybody.
No problem.
List name Doom. I respect it.
This name is Doom.
Doom.
They have the grand stratagem Oath Takers and Skull Breakers, which requires you to do 5 of their battle tactics from their custom book. Most of them have to do with heroes doing stuff. Lodge is Grey Feared, which gives your non-mounted heroes +1 wound, as well as giving you an extra 2 artifacts, an additional 2 artifacts to equip your non-mounted dudes with. Furthermore, we have the Battalion Warlord, which gives us an additional artifact. And you get one to start. So we have 4, count 'em, 4 artifacts distributed amongst these dudes. All right.
Dude.
The total point cost is 1990, which means we will never be getting the Triumph, but who knows? It's inspired, by the way, it always is, and also Expert Conquistadors. Boo, Greyfeared, boo. Just wait. The horror will come. We got ourselves Auric Rune Master on foot. He's the general. He has Master Priest trait, which allows you to use the same rune you have already burned a second time. You can use, for instance, just as I'm guessing here, maybe it's the everybody gets a rune additional rend one. Maybe it's the movement one, but it's not any of the other ones. And so you can burn the rend rune twice, or possibly the run one. We got another Auric Rune Master. Both of them have Curse. Got an Auric Rune Father on foot with Arcane Tome and Flaming Weapon. He's here to slap. And then if you scroll down just a little bit on that. Oh, yeah, the artifact is Ash Cloud Rune, which once again, in the opponent hero phase, you can pop it. And there's a 12-inch aura of you can't be targeted. And then we have 6 Grimwrath Berserkers and 5 Doom Seekers, who are heroes but do not have the leader keyword. Grimwrath Berserker, by the way, the true spooky thing is that you gave a dwarf magic. Imagine caring about stuff like that. So the first Grimwrath Berserker has Draught of Magmalt Ale, which doubles their attacks. Grimwrath Berserkers, for anybody who doesn't know, have 4 attacks, Rend 2, decent weapon profile. You roll a die on a 2-up, you can fight twice. And when you die, you can fight twice. So if you're doubling his attacks, you're actually quadding them because he's always fighting twice. Next up is the Demon Slayer, which is the other artifact the other one has, which ignores wards for his attacks. And so we have a Rune Smiter that can teleport the Draught of Magmatic Ale dude, charge something, attack it 8 times, kill it. On the opponent's turn, if they're about to kill your guys, you pop Ash Cloud and you can't be targeted. Or they kill him, and then he fights twice, right? Because he fights when he dies. And then there's 4 more Grimwrath Berserkers. All these guys either fight twice, or they fight when they pile in and die. And Doom Seekers are basically the same thing, except they don't always fight twice. They only fight twice when they're fighting their chosen foe at the beginning of the game, and it doesn't say you can't choose the same unit with multiple Doom Seekers. And so we essentially have 15 single heroes, more than half of which fight when they die and or fight twice, and are separate individual units, which would actually be kind of a nightmare to play against. Imagine this. These are all separate units. You have 1 trillion drops, 1 million units, spacing them all like 4.5 inches away from each other to body block all sorts of areas. Most of them are fighting when they die. Auric Hearthguard are chilling behind him, just kind of shooting stuff. Got a Zargon Flame Spitta for a little bit of range damage in there as well. And that is the Doom. Imagine splitting attacks against an RB like this, or like physically moving somewhere with so many of them. A dwarf fortress, as it were. Yeah, a dwarf fortress, as it were. You only need 4 more of each. You can do this. Please keep in mind that I'm not saying any of these armies are good. I'm just saying they can be scary to a certain type of person. Scrolling down to the Grimwrath Berserkers was a legit jump scare. Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Yeah, there are 6 of them and then 5 Doomseekers. So we have 11 dudes that fight twice and or fight when they die. That
So
are all individual heroes.
real quick, we got donation of 20, which means we get a trivia poll here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a poll here. You got to use some RDP, some relentless discipline points. To
What substance was used to ink the pages of the Necronomicon? Ash, putrid flesh, ensorcelled ink, Baja Blast, human meat. I mean blood. I'm gonna put my vote in there, but I don't want to affect the outcome. So I'm gonna. I suppose after I said that, someone has still not voted for the top 3. So by process of elimination, you might be able to at least deductively figure out what I could have voted for.
Fantastic, by the way. All right, yeah. So keep going. We got the jump scare that just happened, which is the Grimwrath Berserker.
Yeah, so we got 6 Grimwrath Berserkers, 1 for each oath they can choose, and some of the oaths they can choose don't do anything, but it doesn't matter. We're taking them anyway. And then 5 Doomseekers, all of which that you can name some opponent unit and say you're like, you took an oath to kill that, and then Doomseekers get a bunch of bonuses against that unit. And it doesn't say you have to choose different units per Doomseeker, and so you have a squad, a clog of Doomseekers, 5 of them. And they're all just choosing whatever the thing is that you want to send them after, right? When the game begins. And there you have it. Take 1 ally so you can get the plus attacks when near an ally oath. I did that in a previous incarnation of this list, Ruboy Dawson. It was a good suggestion. It's just to do that, I would have to reduce the number of Grimwrath Berserkers I'm playing, and that was simply out of the question, but also a good suggestion. They are made out of meat. They are. True. Yeah, they all choose that one dude. And also you get a battle tactic completions for like getting one of your heroes killed or your hero satisfying his oath and stuff like that. So you got those. Yeah, Gotrek, I was considering Gotrek, but I just couldn't fit enough Doomers in here.
Ooh.
So what
Human
are you gonna do?
blood, 78%. Proud of you, chat gang.
Pretty good work.
Yeah. Holy shit, Marok Wolf? Fucking off the top rope, out of nowhere, dropping the big elbow, gifting 30 tier 1 subs. Holy shit. Marok Wolf is actually a werewolf IRL, by the way. Have confirmed. Thank you so much for that. And Hades dropping 1,000 RDP to remind everyone that chat gang ain't none to fuck with.
And I would like to remind everyone that while you may be laughing now at all these Grimwrath Berserkers and Doomseekers, but consider you could play this army in such a way. All of these 15-foot heroes, like exactly 5 inches away from each other in a isosododecahedron pattern, like a buggy ball pattern spread out on 2 dimensions across the board. Because your opponent can't like physically get anywhere and has to split attacks between the random 2 of them that he happens to find, and when he kills them, they always fight after they die. You could body block a lot of different plays and be very annoying, which might be its own type of terrifying against certain armies.
Well, I think Roybos
consider their nudity. Good one.
Yeah, well, I was about to say I think Roybos has pointed out the scariest part is like how much naked man baby people are about to fight, and the absolute bilateral symmetry that will break your mind like a David Lynchian film.
Dude, the Bilateralis Symmetricus, one of their unique named heroes, draws power from this. It started out as a meme, but it turns out there's some lore written about this dude in the book where
if this is something you've made up, I don't care. It's canon to me in my head.
He got like a terrible arm wound when he was fighting a bloodthirster that he eventually killed, and it huge gash across his bicep and everything like that. It bisected the bicep, and it healed up, but it left a big scar, and so he had to ritualistically scar the other side of his other arm so
Metal.
that he
Yeah.
maintained the symmetry. And until he had that, like, he was just off. Like, he wasn't, something was wrong. Like, he wasn't fighting properly. And when he did that, he regained the symmetry power and became an even better Grimwrath Berserker.
Right on. Right on. That's awesome. The extra lore. Cool. I like Mason Knox. Correct, by the way. The way you used to play Beasts of Chaos was essentially like create a Fibonacci sequence or the Malebolgia from hell, and just like, oh yeah, you can kill any one of these like derpy idiot Ungors, but you don't get extra turns. So like,
Yeah.
good luck.
You have a limited number of combat phases as a player of Age of Sigmar. There's 5 turns. You get 10 combat phases to participate in max. Usually, it's way less than that, right? If you do infinite damage, like 1 million damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You'll kill one Grimwrath Berserker who's fighting you. Okay. If you did 10 damage, you would have killed him.
Mm-hmm.
What's a million worth? Well,
Nothing.
it's worth tempo. It's worth your entire combat phase on one of those turns, and those things are limited. So in that way, you can have that waves of, I don't want to say waves of chaff, because they're not chaff in BOC anyway. Turns out, if you give a whole army Ren 3, you're no longer chaff. You're more like a glass cannon, comes in waves. Who'd have thought?
It was a great move.
Yeah, actually, truly great move.
No, like as my vacation home army, Beasts of Chaos. It's I respect it. It is in fact pretty metal that they melt face. Like they are the most heavy.
They pray to whatever chaos god will bless them with the most rend.
Yeah, they are the most heavy metal faction in AOS currently, if you ask me. Sorry, Slaves to Darkness.
Yeah.
You don't melt faces literally with Ren 3, like melting armor.
There is no god but the Rend god, and the only thing you say to him is more.
Nice. Yeah, and then additional enhancements, we don't really care about any of this.
No, but it's kind of charming that I managed to fit 4 artifacts into a list. Legally speaking, 4 artifacts is a lot.
Yeah, proper scary. I like it. Where are we going next? Alphabetical order, obviously.
Yeah, and so continuing on in alphabetical order, let's go to Sons of Behemoth. SOB.
So what makes this one scary? Like why? Like what's the sales pitch on horror here?
This one is a different type of horror.
So we had body horror already. We had body horror once. So now are we in the survival horror spectrum here because it's a force of nature?
No, this is deep, primal,
cosmic horror
of your very DNA.
Yeah. Go watch Mandy. It's fantastic, everybody.
This is the true. You thought the other one was body horror. It's not. This is the body horror. In fact, the list name is, if you scroll up a little bit, the absolute horror. For that is what you will feast your eyes upon in this tent. All right. The grand strategy is no place for the weak, which involves killing all of your opponent's battle line. You have the War Stomper Mega Gargant in the Tribe Stomper Tribe, which gives you +1 damage against units of 10 and +2 damage against units of 20 or something like that. Command trait for the War Stomper is Eager for the Fight, which gives you 3d6 full charges. He has Arcane Tome because it's the best artifact in the game. For Flaming Weapon, because. And then 3 Man Crusher Gargants in a mob. And then 3 individual Man Crusher Gargants. And then the Bone Grinder Mega Gargant from Forge World. It's the most disgusting...
I have some art here to share.
Yeah, I have attached some reference materials. If there are any women or children, people with heart conditions, back problems...
Yeah, this is a horror stream, okay? So, like,
please avert your eyes.
Thank you for getting into the spirit, everyone. Like, I see, like, the body horror using Ale Guzzler Gargants as proxies for your man crushers. Like, just the absolute horror, the abject
This
horror.
is the Bone Grinder Mega Gargant. He costs 535 points. He sucks. He looks like a Nick Park claymation studio creation, except really bad. Famously one of the worst sculpts they've ever made and still sell. Look at that hand. What is it? what is it doing? This is what 60 generations of inbreeding will produce.
It's just like the hills have eyes, except
Yeah. And so Bone Grinder, you're playing with one of those, and then you're playing with 6 Man Crusher Gargants, who are the same as Ale Guzzlers. I also have a reference picture for those. If we could bring that one up.
Sorry, just hitting my water here. Ale
No problem.
Guzzlers. Oof. This is the inverse of the Pixar mom ass. This is the opposite of what I want to see.
This is the Hank Hill ass having cloven hoofed footed, fat but not strong fat, just like gross fat. And this is honestly, this one, if Bone Grinder was 60 generations of inbreeding, this is 120.
Wrong turn Gargant style. Marok Wolf with the horror reference, love it. Going for the grope.
Not dad bod, yeah. Wrong
no, this
turn,
is
Gargant
not dad
style,
bod.
yeah.
This is no. Dad bod. I've got a picture.
This isn't dad bod. This is sad bod.
All right, and nope. Oops, I don't want to give away the TO's nightmare.
And so this is one where you play this against your opponent, right? And they're so disgusted with what their eyes are seeing. They are so revolted by this grotesque inbred flesh and bad sculpts that they become tilted like a pinball game, right? They can't even play. Like they're rolling their dice, they're trying to make decisions, but the bile is coming up in the back of their throat. And so oftentimes you'll win with this list via concession just before deployment in disgust. But hey, a win's a win, right?
Right. Secure the W. Fantastic. I do like the body horror nod, by the way. That's my favorite part. Yeah. Is a dictionary definition of grotesque. Yeah.
Yeah, and also national embarrassment. I'm still waiting for
an apology.
Well, the queen was going to, but that's why she died, to get out of it. Too embarrassing.
Yeah. Where are we going next?
Next up, let's go Lumineth in alphabetical order from S. Let's go for Lumineth.
NPE is the way to be. So, what type of horror are we getting into here? What
you ever heard of the Chinese drip torture?
Yeah, with the right on the
NPE is the way to
Hades be. Immediately triggered, just like Lumineth, and he's like flipping tables and seeing red and setting.
We are in the great nation of Iliatha, and the grand stratagem: defend what's ours. And what is ours is having people hate what you're doing. I put everything in it. This is psychological warfare.
Oh man, this is the list. This is the list. It all.
This has every single thing in it that people hate.
There's nothing.
It used to have a purple sun also. It's just they nerfed that, so I took it out. So just for reference, so that it's clear, this also used to have a purple sun in it. In addition, we got Archmage, Techless, and Selenar.
You can vamp for a minute. You going through this, right? While I use the restroom and refill.
We got Archmage, Techless, and Selenar. Everybody hates this because it makes their command points cost double. It gives the entire army a 5-up, which everybody hates. And it automatically succeeds at a bunch of crap. What these people don't know is that 740 points is a shitload of points, and you almost can't even build an army with something that expensive as a required choice. But nobody cares about LRL's problems, even if they're real, which they are, because their fifis got hurt when they played against an army with a 46% win rate, which is what LRL is currently sitting at. But you can't expect the online complainers. They have a good opinion. It's just how they feel. And so we're making them feel worse. We want our opponent to feel the worst. We have a Sinari Cathalar who has the Simulacra amulet so that sometimes when she dies, she actually comes back to life instead of dying, which is a combo with Kron Spine, so that if they kill her, you have a 4-up chance of not having the Kron Spire go wild because it says instead of killing, right? This is the anti-Facebook list. That was the goal for this one. Also, Sinari Cathalar has a spell that's very annoying as well. I can't remember. Hold up. Check the tapes. Tape checker. here. Sonari Cathalar. She has a War Scroll spell. It's actually particularly annoying sounding. In addition, so I decided, why not just throw her in? It's Darkness of the Soul. Casting value 7. It says cast pick one enemy unit with an 18. Until your next hero phase, roll 2d6 each time the unit makes a normal move, makes a charge move, shoots, or fights. And if the roll is greater than the unit's bravery, it cannot perform that action. So we're getting a little bit of a miniature Bellacore in here as well. And don't worry, I put the Umbral Spell Portal in just so we can tag something across the whole board if we need to with that one. That's a good one. So we put miniature Bellacore effect in. We got the Kron Spine that everyone hates. We got Archmage Techless stopping all of their important spells automatically and casting a bunch of spells that make them not have fun, like Double Command Point and 5-up. And then we got 20 Sentinels, and Lambent Light is on like everybody. So we can use Sentinels, which Facebook hates as well. And then also, just for kicks, we got Soul Snare Shackles. No Total Eclipse. Techless knows every spell, so he's going to cast Total Eclipse automatically, Femonk. But great question. Yeah, I couldn't fit the Foxes in, but we only had 2,000 points to work with. And Facebook people don't hate Foxes because they've never played against Foxes. But if we're getting really technical, Facebook people shouldn't really hate any of this stuff because it's clear by the complaints they're having that they don't really play the game in any capacity. But what are you going to do? Emotional transfers. And so here we have NPE is the way to be. The psychological warfare list. Once again, none of these lists are particularly great. They're just supposed to be scary in some way. And if you roll up with this at a Facebook meetup in real life to play AOS, you're probably going to get an opponent who straight up refuses to play you. But if they would have chosen to play you, it's not like this list isn't good. Like, it's not great. You would probably win. It would just be one of those lists where it would lose and then your opponent would like complain to you about how annoying your army is after they have won, which is weird. But this is the GW list, or should run against their new players. Yeah, you'd get kicked out. You're just out of there. This is almost the exact list your friend brings. Oh, nice. Really? Kronspine, too? It was very hard to fit Kronspine in here. I'm going to kill some time before Meph comes back. It was a rough one, dude. Building LRL lists, you are in a straitjacket. You're just not allowed to make almost any choices, which is very frustrating when you're building an LRL list. Nobody cares because everybody hates Sentinels and stuff, and so they have no empathy for you, but they should. I wish there were more options and more diversity, and you could play the big stone guys that are like walking mountains. And the next Lumineth book needs an injection of whoever the fuck wrote Sylvaneth in there, where you can build like 3 or 4 distinct armies out of this stuff, and they're all good. This is the guy who played Orm's Chant in Junior Super Series. Yeah, put it out on an Isochron Scepter. Chef's Kiss. What's the matter? You don't have any instant speed artifact removal or counter spells in your deck? Hey, that's a rough one, kid. Maybe next time, right? The Chinese finger trap of army construction, if only. Techless can also cast Voice of the Mountain to give the entire enemy army -2 or -3 bravery to make the mini Bellacore spell stick. Now you're thinking with portals. I approve and appreciate it. And so there we have it. All right. Next slide, please. All right, we can't go to the next slide, so let's hang out. I think the next one shall be... we're going to change it up. We're switching gears for the next one. This next one, will only be scary to a certain percentage of people. So this might miss you. It might get shot over your head, and you'll even enjoy it. You'll be having so much fun, but the fun you have while you are enjoying the next one will only make that random person even more upset and terrified. Crippling Vertigo as well, which is Darkness of the Soul. Light, yeah. I mean, you cast 4 spells a turn pretty consistently with Archmage Teclis, right? Scenari Capillar gets a spell. You can do all sorts of stuff with them. How you guys doing this fine evening, chat, by the way? Is it Quadrant Overlords with a TO who won't commit to an interpretation of Garrison rules? Oof. I don't need a list for that. I just need to ask them. Hey, how do Garrison rules work again? This obtuse interaction came up. What's your ruling on it? Can I play Feastmasters? Actually, that's an easy one. I bet a TO would just say yes for the most part. Ahem. Small side MTG thing. You were planning on getting a commander precon. You're deciding between Renard, Blue White Fortell, or Osgir Boris Artifacts. Which do y'all think is neater? I don't know offhand which commander precon those are because I don't pay much attention to what those are. But Boros is inherently a weaker and, in my opinion, less fun color combination than Blue White. But without knowing what's in them, I really can't say.
Boros is white-red, right? Boros Burn was like the big, yeah.
Like it could be more fun. I would just need to see the list, and I'm not familiar with it off the top of my head.
Blue-white, you're going for like more control heavy.
It might be, but then again, it's a precon, so maybe not, right? I guess I really just don't know. I would need to see it. Anyway,
right.
Meph is back. So, next slide, please. The next one, I prepped chat for this. The next one might miss you. It might not be scary to you. It might fly over your head. But there is a certain percentage subset of people that this will terrify, and your enjoyment of the next slide will only make them angrier.
Oh, I forgot to say as I was leaving though. Someone mentioned in chat here, like if people are already calling you NPE as like an army just by like showing up to the table, and this is goes to I spent like a year. I actually got a trophy right over here, best sports, playing at the time. Nagash during the period
the
of time.
Army that everybody
hated
about
the most. Yeah. In fact, there was a post on the internet on the what are they called? The TGA forums. They were like, why are death players the most unsporting players? First off, it was objectively wrong. Destruction players. I know everyone's surprised because destruction players seem like they're like the big jovial, awesome people. But like destruction players, according to JP Genesis metrics and LLVs, who both collect different sets of data, had destruction as the lowest sports scores for like a very long period of time. We're talking like several GHBs worth of data. Not death, but the TGA post was like, why do death players have like the lowest sports scores of anybody? And whatever, good meme. And I won that like sports on Nagash. The most hated at the time, like Legions of Nagash plus like 60 Grimghast Reapers was like the big thing. I ran Skellingtons because I'm a gentleman, but it was I still like had winning records the whole time. I beat my mirrors because I didn't waste any points on Rend against Grimghast Reapers, so I was just looking for like exploding, like basically exploding sixes and stuff all the time. And it was like, good games. But I had a year of people sort of like, anytime I would walk up to the table, I didn't have a reputation. No one knew me as like, the most dangerous man in Age of Sigmar yet. And like they go, ugh, Nagash. And this is categorically an experience I don't want anyone to have. Where you walk up to the table and just by nature of showing up to the table, someone goes, ugh.
Yeah, the thing you're playing, they see it.
And they just hate you. They don't even know you, and you have to spend an entire game like convincing them to like you, which is already like kind of shitty for any nerd out there, let alone like neurodivergent nerds who talk too much.
So
looks at the camera. But the point is like, well, we're overrepresented in AOS, in nerd spaces.
In nerd space in general, I would.
Yeah. Like ASD and ADHD are overrepresented. And
Vince cleaning the blood off his knuckle. Good meme.
Yeah. So anyway, where I was going with this before I had a tangent within a tangent within a tangent is people are gonna nagash you when you walk up to the table, and again, that's the category. It's whatever your thing is. LRL, Sentinels. You have an obligation to absorb their tears at that point. Don't let them ruin your fun. Shift your personality to where how much they hate your thing just being there is part of your enjoyment. Because they're being an asshole by prejudging you. It is time to relish in their tears and dunk your cookies in them. Like, fuck people who just hate an army for existing. You spent your fucking money on your army, not them. They can fuck off. And I love this list. This isn't a horror to me. This is people getting what they deserve. This is the serial killer. You're like, yeah, but all those people had it coming. You know, like
this is Facebook's nightmare. Is really the list that I've produced here.
All right.
Checklist, Cathalar, Sentinels, Kronspine. It used to have Purple Sun in it before it got nerfed. It's the kitchen sink of Facebook's deepest nightmare.
Yeah, it's like team.
It's not really that good.
Yeah,
actually.
Team Hate America. Like it's just I guess Team America then, where they just hate everything. All right. What was our next one?
Next one. Let's bring out the nightmare, the TO nightmare.
Ooh,
what was that?
I've been listening. Do you mind if I interrupt?
Yeah,
this
no, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to vent a little,
mm-hmm.
Explain what's been going on. Because I'm sorry, Meph. I was very much looking forward to having a fun, relaxing evening, hanging out with you and Heywoah. So where I've been for the past hour and 10 minutes is on hold, on the phone, because see, let me explain the situation.
It is RantCast.
Really a horror,
it is RantCast. I would, if I could, I would turn the rant cam. Actually, you know what? I can do this. I have the technology. There, rant cam, Vince V style.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
So let me explain, everyone. My wife's on vacation this week. She, my mother-in-law, 2 friends. They go on their annual girls' trip. Where did they go? Well, they went down to Florida. Where were they in Florida? Well, Fort Myers, Florida. That might be familiar to you. It's been on the news a little this week. It's just south of where the hurricane made landfall. So, tonight, they contact me and tell me they want to get out of Dodge. So I do all the legwork, find them 4 plane tickets, get all that secured, get them a hotel at the airport where they need to get out, find a working airport, which is, by the way, the first challenge because there's a bunch of not working airports in Florida. They have to drive there. Can't help that. I make the reservations. But so it just so happens to turn out that in my mother-in-law's last name on the flight, on the plane ticket, I misspelled 1 letter. Forgot 1 letter. Okay? Now, I don't often write my mother-in-law's last name, right? Why would I do that? I didn't notice I did it. I looked at it. I was booking in a hurry because obviously everybody's high stress and they want to get it done. So I booked it. I figured, what's the big deal? It's 1 letter. I'll call them. How hard can this be? It's the same person. It's the same name. She has 2 double letters, by the way, in her last name. I just want to point that out. Like she has double
abomination.
Letters and double letters.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, the human centipede of letters. Sorry, it's horror month. I gotta keep doing it.
How hard could this be? Apparently, this is the hardest thing that has ever been done. Because it took 4 different people they had to transfer me through. And an hour of waiting to finally find the person. And as he's changing it, and he's confirming, he's like, okay, I'm making the changes, I'm sending you the emails, you just need to hold on for 1 moment. My wife is calling me. Okay? And I only have 1 phone. I'm on the phone with him. I don't have like a second phone. Right? And so I hit her the little custom message with like, I cannot answer this. I am on the phone fixing the airline thing after an hour and 10 minutes. Okay. And so and then she calls me right back and I do it again and she calls me right back. And so finally I'm like in this delay tactic, right? Of like hoping like, how much can I piss her off, but still making sure that this gets done. Okay. So finally, I'm just like, I'll risk it for the biscuit. I hold and accept. I flip over. And I'm like, I cannot talk. I'm on with the airline. I fixed the thing. What? And she's like, you've got to change the hotel. The 2 people who you put on the hotel room names aren't going to be 2 people who are there because we got to do this rental car thing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Fine. I'll call the hotel too. Bye. Click. So now I'm back over with that guy. He's like, are you still there? I'm like, yes, I'm still here. Everything's fine. Are we done? So he sends me the new emails. We're done. So then I call the hotel. I'm like, okay, this is certainly easy. I've done this before. This is just adding an additional person to a hotel room for the check-in. Room's paid. They don't care. Okay? You're just adding it to the name. Call the hotel. Nothing. No pickup. Call the hotel. No pickup. Call the hotel. No pickup. Call the hotel. Go to the operator. No pickup. Just rings forever. Okay? Go to the virtual chat agent on, like, the service to book through. Okay? We're down to using a robot. I'm like, I just need to add 2 names. The robot is like, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to connect you to a real person. Okay? The real person is like, I can't do that. The hotel won't pick up the phone. I have to call them to do it, and they won't pick up the phone. Can I just switch the names? And I'm like, yeah, what? How is that okay? So let me get this straight. It's okay to switch you can just switch the name from, like, person A is using this hotel room to person B is using this hotel room. That low bar, no issue, done in 5 seconds. So in other words, just some rando off the street I can switch it to if I call the hotel. Okay? But just saying also this person, but keep it in the original person's reservation, that is a bridge too far. We can't get there. So anyways, it's all done now. Everything's done. Thank you, Meph, for letting me rant on your show. There's no other place in the world that I would rather be this angry at.
That was glorious. This is the best Vince moment of my life. It's supposed to be a horror theme this month, right? And
that's the horror bureaucracy. Yes.
Story.
Yeah,
you can switch back to your normal camera.
Yeah, no, I got to use Rant Cam for somebody else for the first time in 9 years. I have never turned the Rant Cam on for somebody else. That was glorious, man. I
uploaded a picture of Vince Venturella in real life on the phone to Discord and a DM to you.
Oh, good. All right. Pardon me, chat, while I do this highly technical switch over.
This is a visual representation of...
Yep. Feels right.
Yep.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, man. That's too good. The real horror tonight was the bureaucracy.
Yeah, there's nothing my list can do, really.
Yeah, even LRL at its worst is not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, because you could be playing against the opponent who isn't a child, right? And they'll just be like, oh, you're playing that list. Cool. All right, let's play some toy soldiers. Oh, I might lose. Okay. But being on the hold for an hour, dealing with robots from one hold to another hold, there's a phone ringing, but you're on hold. So if you swap over, maybe the phone disconnect. Maybe it's going to do that. Or the dude who is on the other side of your call might immediately come back the second you swap over.
Oh, yeah.
And he just doesn't know that you're
There's
there.
an anxiety there.
What?
Oh, there's an anxiety there, too, with that, like, if this is the exact moment.
Yeah, psychological horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. No,
there's a psychological thriller, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, everybody's okay. Everybody's
it's like enemy, except being on the phone.
See, that's the catharsis of a good rant.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just have to, like, let it out. You know, you just gotta.
That's my equivalent of the primal scream. Yes.
Yeah. Your call is important to us.
Oh yeah, I heard that like 1,000 times. Yes, your call is important to us. Yeah, I bet it is.
Welcome to Lumineth Air Temple Air. A fox will be with you shortly.
Mm-hmm. He keeps moving 12 inches away from me, that jerk.
Yeah.
That's what a hold is.
Being on hold, yeah.
That's being on hold, is the fox fucking constantly moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next up we have the TO Nightmare. And also a heavily requested
player name.
Player name Big Vern.
I thought it was Big Vein. I thought it was Big Vein. I'm like, you're starting out with the penis reference with the Big Vein.
No Vein gang in the chat. No.
If Vein Gang doesn't get a $20 dono for mental health, I don't know.
Yeah, they took it from our Snickers bars. You gotta, hold it close to the vest. Right?
Did they? Is that like they fucking?
It's a meme. Anyway, player name Big Vern. It's very important that they wrote it with a pen. They did not use their last name, so it's almost impossible to know who this person actually is. List name, my special guys. The storm host they're using is the fucking lads. All right. So they're not using the right. They're not saying what the storm host is. They're just saying their own, whatever our role playing name for it. And then as you scroll down, you are all right. POV, you are a TO, and you're scrolling down on this list that was submitted to you.
Oh, this is so
and it
good.
just has everybody's extremely long, non-specific role playing names for all of the units in there, but it doesn't say what any of them are. Doesn't say what the units are, doesn't say what the unit options actually are. And so you just have to guess. You have to kind of know. Also, this one is interactive, chat.
Uh-oh.
Try and guess what these units are. And
I'm so excited. Do I get to play?
I gave you the points values, which was a big tell, and then some of the command traits I didn't go all in. First we have Grand She Magus, Swole Flexia Dumb Crush Me. 120 points. She is the general. Master of Magic and the spell Celestial Blades. What unit is this? Clearly it's Stormcast, right?
I will hold my vote for the audience to guess.
I mean, I would think it's the awesome
the slam dunk.
Incanter or whatever her name, like the Knight Incanter hero lady, right?
It has to be the Knight Incantor. Yes.
It's got to be the Knight Incantor. Is correct. KR Knight in chat got it right, as did Vince and Meph. 125 points. Foot Wizard in Stormcast being played at all, kind of a dead giveaway.
Sure.
But there it is. Next up is Malleus Hammer, the Hammer. And he is 300 points.
Not Malleus Darkblade, huh? A real
no, Malleus Hammer.
Okay.
The Hammer.
And
what
the hammer,
is the hammer again?
My penis.
Yes. There we go. We all had to get there.
Captain Hammer.
Captain Hammer.
These are not the hammer.
Thanks.
He walks away.
No, I don't work out. I'm just naturally like this.
I don't work out. I'm just naturally this way. Fucking Nathan Fillion.
We got Wing Lady as a guess enchant. We got the Prime Time, the Celston Prime. We got that's Bastion.
Hammer's Bastion Carthalos, because he's the one that costs 300 points.
Yep. Once again, the points cost. Remember, Bastion Carthalos is the cheapest one amongst Primetime and Yndrasta. Some would say the worst, and they're right, but he's still good. And
wait, hold on. This isn't the point of the show, but there's no way he's worse than Yndrasta.
I actually agree. Maybe I need to update my pulse on the finger of the community. I thought people thought that Yndrasta was the best one.
No, I don't think so. Not any. I think they've quickly moved away from her. Yes.
Okay. All right.
She had that starter box sheen, for a minute.
Sure, the hammer cycle, the ham jet.
The ham jet.
Fucking.
Yeah, I'm a defendant of Bastion Carthalos. I think he's great. Lightning ability is good. The redeploy at the beginning is great. Yeah, he's locked into Hammers of Sigmar, but it's fine. He's good. And if your opponent has massive regiments of dudes, he can just kind of lawnmower from dead alive through them. John Henry working on the railroad, getting healed to full every single turn. And just slowly digging his way through a unit of clan rats or whatever. Happy as a clam.
I like
up.
No, you're next up. This name on this one is.
Yeah, next up is Night Protein Julius Quadfather. 120 points. This one's there's a dead giveaway over here. I didn't know how good people would be at it, but
this is the Night Vexilor, specifically not the new one. It is the old Night.
Yep, because of the Pennant of the Stormbringer allowing you to teleport guys for sure.
Which is the wrong one, by the way. The correct one is always the Pennant of the Meteoric Standard, because dropping giant mortal wound bombs that auto hit is cool.
It is cool. But, hey, I didn't make this list. This is Big Vern.
Oh, I understand. Big Vern did it. Yeah, I'm just saying Big Vern, wrong choice.
Oh, that in the corner over there, that guy? That's Big Vane. Don't talk to him.
We all stopped talking to Big Vane.
And finally, we have, for 175 points, George Washington in full plate. Who is this?
Not George Washing Machine. Like,
no, not George Washing Machine. George Washington in full plate.
That would be the Lord Imperatant.
Yeah, if you didn't know the points value, I think the context clues of some of the units in here would get you there. Yep, Lord Impy, true KR Knight. And we got him. Now on down to the units. We got Sig Downers with 200% fucking invincible shields. If anyone's played Revengeance, there's a character named Sundowner. He's fucking invincible. All right, 200%. And then Sig Downers with Give War a Chance hammers. 2 units of 6. Easy peasy.
I mean, first of all, I just want to say I love this list.
It's okay. It's so good.
Isn't this actually a great list? You could have fun playing this thing, I think. This is...
I mean, yeah, until, like, yes, this is a super fun list you'll have a great time with until your opponent remembers that Chaff exists and or shoots the Lord of Paris, which is what's going to happen. But,
yeah, but will be George Washington in full plate. I mean, those wouldn't either get knocked out by some fucking long strike bolts or just anything. Which is a problem. And then also there exists a unit with a job known as Chaff in this game, and it's very important. And Big Vern has chosen to completely ignore that to his peril.
As he rightly should.
Yeah.
Because this dude is going to like win his first game, lose his second game, lose his third, and then steamroll whoever he plays round 4 and 5. Just smash him.
Yep.
Completely.
This is your path to X and 2 with this one.
Fantastic.
You will lose once you've won 1. You're going to lose against anybody who's ever won, and then those last 2, the majority losses, you're just going to crush them.
Mm-hmm.
So the base,
like apparently you want to be by Shemega Swolflexia.
This isn't horror to me. I understand the horror you're going for. I love that you started to write Z fucking lads and you just crossed out Z and wrote the.
Yeah, and I got some custom coffee stains on here.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, you like photoshopped
the midnight oil trying to come up with all these names. Big Vern, you know.
Yeah.
The vein was in his forehead because he was thinking so hard trying to come up with RP for this.
Oh, fantastic.
George Washington with meteoric teeth. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And also on the video where this is a meme from one of my videos, and people in the comments really wanted to know the entire army list, and so here's your Easter egg. This is what you wanted. This is the whole army list. Yeah, I know it's 120 points shy, but Big Vern really wanted that triumph, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we're getting
he goes big and he goes hard.
I'm role playing as him, as well.
Yeah, fantastic. By the way, one of the greatest movies, Kernighet here is not wrong. Not all horror movies are scary. Some of them are hilarious, like Gremlins. Yeah, Gremlins, Shaun of the Dead, which is still probably Shaun of the Dead is still probably like peak horror comedy. I don't know if we've like
Scream, Army of the Dead with Bruce Campbell.
But that's because Bruce Campbell. That's because Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi together is such a 1-2 punch of. And if you hear like stories about how like Bruce Campbell's willingness to like just give everything to every second, like of every part of the role, whether it was like the physical comedy or the like.
Yeah, he gives every chin.
Just every chin. Yeah, that's right. But Gremlins 2 is a masterpiece.
It's also overtly just a comedy at that point. 2 is like. Visual gag after visual gag after visual gag.
Well,
for like 5 minutes.
It's his middle finger to consumerism. Like they literally did.
Yeah,
like
it's his middle finger to the studio specifically.
Yeah, specifically. Do you want to know why Hulk Hogan has a cameo in Gremlins 2?
Because he was the budget they gave him.
He wasted
on purpose.
Because he wasted it on purpose. Because Hulk Hogan was the most expensive cameo you could get at the time. If somebody else was more expensive, they would have been in there instead. Because he just blew through the studio's money on purpose. That's it. I
think the real missed opportunity is that we didn't, within the last sort of, not now, but maybe, say 6 to 4 years ago, get a Gremlins 3 where Clamp becomes president and the Gremlins run wild in the White House?
Well, because
Oh
he's
yeah,
such a
like
Trump.
Idiocracy, but with rats. Yeah.
Well, no, Clamp was a very obvious like Trump
Yeah.
allegory.
Yeah, because even at the time, Trump was being
He was
really
a joke. Yeah, he was a joke. Like at the time, then. Like
I mean, he was at Home Alone. They made him the president in Back to the Future 3. No, 2.
Biff was
Uh,
basically
Biff.
Trump, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They wrote Biff to be
Also,
just
Bowser
some
in
guy.
the Mario Brothers movie was Trump as well. Like,
Mhm.
just like people were just like
Yeah,
lambasting
this
this.
dude has been an incompetent idiot that everyone hates for a very long time,
Yeah.
much longer than most people know about. Like 80s movies were making fun of this guy.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, the whole time.
And now, everyone does.
That was the real horror. So, all right, what's next?
Real horror.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Cities of Sigmar. This freak show is the classic. Gaze in
This
Wonder.
freak show.
Gaze and Wonder.
I've been doing these lists as a freak show of interactions and rules and stuff. And so this one,
no
Gaze
one
and Wonder,
forgets Psycho Gorman. Psycho Gorman is an earnest work of art. This is not an attempt at humor. Psycho Gorman is high art. If you've not seen Psycho Gorman, you're just not living life correctly. What a wonderful movie. Do y'all know the majesty that is? Sorry, it's RantCast. Do y'all know the majesty that is the film Psycho Gorman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, brilliant! Such wet puppets. Like she the brain monster crush. And like every time Psycho Gorman goes to tell a flashback story, it gets cut off. It's so good. And then when the parents are like, who's this like monster with you? And she's like, don't worry, he won't hurt you. I mean to destroy you. And he just like keeps like describing how he's going to kill them, and she's telling them. Sorry. Fantastic film. Anyway. What is the horror? What is this freak
This
show?
one is more of a curiosity.
Ooh, an oddity. Like, come, view. Yeah.
Gaze upon nature's mistake. The list name is Steal the Spotlight.
That's what my mom used to call me.
It is Cities of Sigmar, Living City, with the grand strategy Show of Dominance, because Show of Dominance is what everything in this list that is not Cities of Sigmar is doing. Gaze and wonder at an army that is 300 points Cities of Sigmar units and 1,700 points non-Cities of Sigmar units, and yet it is a legal list.
Love it.
There are four there. It is both more by points, not Cities of Sigmar, and by number of units, more not Cities of Sigmar.
Right.
There are 4 COS units, and there are 5 non-COS units. There's 340 points of COS and 1,600 something points of non-COS. The general is a lone, proud, single battle mage on foot with Master Magic, Arcane Tome, Hish, and Life Surge. And then 3 units of Flagellants, one of which is an Honored Retinue. And so it's just the tiniest, most pathetic. The spotlight is shined completely elsewhere. And then we got Bundo Whalebiter, Drycha Hamadrith, Lord Commander Bastion Carthalos, Gossamid Archers, Sequitors. The absolute stars of the show, a veritable Dungeons and Dragon party writ large as the star of the entire army.
Now, why the Sequitors? That's my only question.
When you deploy them, I wanted to like physically show them in a great golden rectangle. I already went tall, right? With single impressive models like Bundo and Drycha and Bastion. I wanted to also go wide to overshadow the Flagellants when you're deploying them on the table as well. And so a bunch of proud golden Sequitors that just look more impressive than Flagellants. I wanted them side by side for that comparison.
Okay. Understood. Yeah, because I was like, why not something like Fulminators or something like that? But I get it, because there you'd only have like 2. You need
I wanted
that like cavalcade. You needed some girth, basically. Wait, no, Vane was last list.
And so that's this one, the not really Cities of Sigmar, but kind of really Cities of Sigmar COS list. The first time COS first came out, I thought about making a list like this, and you could do it even more egregiously before, because at that time they hadn't come up with Coalition out of whole cloth, which stops you from using battle line for them before you could.
Right.
And it got even more ridiculous, like one Scourge Privateer hero for like 50 points, and then like a single other some 55 point, 65 point nothing hero, and then the absolute rest of the army. So it was crazier before, but it's still a little bit of an oddity, a curiosity, if you will.
Yeah, you used to be able to have, like originally you were able to have other generals. Like your Jenny didn't have to be, like your general could be Stormcast or whatever.
Can we take a moment to appreciate this majestic man currently on the stream who gave us the gift of the term double Jennies?
Oh, it wasn't me.
I thought it was. I thought you were the double Jenny.
That's a meme from my chat.
I thought you came up with double Jennies.
No, I said two.
I know Vlazda came from you. Like when we talked about like 2017 is like I kept calling it Vlazda, and you're like, that's the funniest shit I've ever heard, and you got that shit trending. Like, yeah,
Velocida, and then in Flesh Eater Courts, the Gakorkrija.
See, that's not, no, Vlazda was me. Like, I said Vlazda, and you got that
shit. No, the Ghoul King is just the Kumquat. Because it's the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, so somehow that sounds like the word Kumquat.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, the big brain.
No, it was, I used to drink strawberry milkies, which are these, like, silly, some Japanese or Korean, actually, I think it's Korean soda. That's like it's supposed to be like a milk tea soda strawberry flavored thing that I don't know. They tasted good. I had them at a restaurant one time, and I ordered them, and I would drink them on stream when I was playing waifu games on the weekend. I'm like, oh, time for the Milkies. They're called like Milkies, which is the stupidest name. And then so the Milkies thing started in chat, the something ease, right? And then I was talking about a list at some point and said you have two generals, double generals, and then someone from chat.
They added,
but they put two and two together, double Jennies, and from there the meme was born.
Huh. Interesting.
We're all better off for it.
No, the world is better.
That's the deep lore.
Yeah, the deep lore. Love it. So speaking of deep lore, Zine.
I could do Zine. I don't know how fun and cool that one is, but it is the last one. I should have saved the good one for last, but here we are.
Well, the good one was the Teo's Nightmare. That's just like the amount of enjoyment that goes out into the world from Big Vern. You know, I feel like the world
Big
was
Vern dropping the water cooler one last time.
Yeah.
Also,
I feel that Big Vern is the hero we deserve.
Yeah,
maybe not the one we need.
He's not the hero we want, but he's the hero we deserve.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the chaff that he will learn to want.
Hey, Aaron, while you're in chat there, when the fuck is that really awesome adventure ran by some stud of a paragon of the community coming out for everyone who wants to see Soulbound on your podcast network there? The Mortal Realms in the house is what I'm saying. Mortal Realms all up in here.
Oh, he won't get back to you. Someone having the nickname Big Vein, that really paints a picture, doesn't it? In your head. I don't really want to actually know. It's the best when it's not explained. Oh, that's Big Vein.
So like,
don't talk to him.
If they took the vein out of the Snickers, and Snickers, like, you're not acting, their whole thing is like, oh, you're not acting like yourself, have a Snickers. What happens to Big Vein if Big Vein eats a Snickers?
I think he just becomes a normal Magic player, or like a normal Warhammer player. Or something
no, you're right. He's like, why the fuck am I like? He's like got minis and like measuring tapes and stuff.
Exactly. He goes back to just being like a Magic player.
Yeah, he's like,
he loses all of his narrative engagement.
Yeah, he loses weight, Well, he doesn't lose vein weight, but he loses weight. It's losing vein weight, I guess, is like losing face weight. Double veinies, finally we did it.
Double
Okay,
veinies? Yeah, no, got there. Yeah, oh.
Anyway, this next list is along the same lines of Lumineth. It's another Facebook nightmare list, and it is called Resident Summoner. Change Coven
is a reference to Resident Sleeper, like it is
it is a reference to Resident Sleeper. Yeah, okay. That's what you'll be doing when you play against it. Guild of Summoners, grand strategy, show of dominance, triumphs, indomitable, and this person has chosen the triumph indomitable because they know no one chooses it. Everyone chooses inspired, and so the opponent will have to ask what it does, and they'll waste more time. And the goal here is wasting time.
They're a lands player. Yay!
Yeah, the general is the Magister with Cult Demagogue, so your doubles auto-succeed and give you an extra fate point, which the Magister's normal downside is that if you get a double, the spell automatically fails. However, you have Cult Demagogue, so now one thing says if you get doubles, it auto-succeeds and something else happens, and the other thing says if you get doubles, it auto-fails, which is two effects triggering from a single die roll simultaneously. And what do the rules tell us to do when that happens? We have to choose one, and it won't be the auto fail one. So hey, look at that, you get around your downside. How nice. Plus Arcane Tome. Lore of Fate is Arcane Suggestion because it was the most annoying potentially spell for it. Kairos Fate Weaver, Be'lakor allied in to shut down whatever part of your opponent's army they want to use the most.
Whatever unit they thought was going to get them out of this nightmare. Yeah.
I own two Be'lakors.
Could get them to escape from this. You're using Be'lakor to tell them no. You look down like Rorschach from the top of a skyscraper and whisper no. 30 pink horrors, which according to my mathematics is approximately 300 wounds worth of stuff. Chronomatic Cogs, Umbral Spell Portal, and the Burning Sigil of Tzeentch to toss out their turn 1. And potentially turn people into spawns such that they can't charge that same turn and be even yet more annoying. Here it is. It's Facebook Nightmare, list number 2. We are here only to annoy.
I can use these powers only to annoy, right? Like.
Also, we're in Guild of Summoners, so we're summoning a Keeper of Secrets probably every turn.
You meant Lord of Change, but I know what you meant.
Oh yeah, Lord of Change, pardon me. We're summoning a Lord of Change probably every turn. There is a different like artifact or trait or something you can take to get 3 fate points for free if you really want to lean into that. But I'm confident that you can summon one every turn even without that thing.
So, I've got a pertinent question here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a secret to not fearing these armies should you encounter them in the wild?
Yeah, it's called being a mature adult, well-balanced, having some self-awareness. That's it. That's it. You're an adult with a clear presence of mind. You know what you want. You know what you care about. You realize it's a game, but also, you know, that what we do in our free time is important. So it's important to level-headed,
well, I mean, you gotta have some boundaries with yourself. You gotta like some healthy boundaries. Like I get, if I do get to play Warhammer once every like quarter of a moon cycle, yeah, I want to have fun when I do it, right? Like,
right, and the amount of fun you have playing Age of Sigmar is 99.9% contingent on the person you are playing against, not really their army.
Hat swap. All right, got it.
In my opinion.
There we go.
Yes, there are armies that are obviously more annoying to play against mechanically than others. This is of course true, but an enjoyable opponent can smooth over almost all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And a not enjoyable opponent can ruin anything they're playing for you. Mm-hmm. No matter the game, no matter the army list, no matter anything else.
Right.
And so if you're concerned you can only play once a month or whatever, I would be much more concerned with who you choose to play against than what army list they happen to be running.
Interesting.
In my IMO.
All right, Vince, you're going to scare us with some army aesthetics. I know this is like actually the opposite of what your motto is, which is paint fearlessly. But we're going to pretend that something
Well, we have to
happens in
be
Mephtober.
shown fear to
Yeah.
look it in the eye and
That something
rise above.
Yeah, that's
I
something.
mean, I don't have fun PDFs. I didn't know there was a homework assignment. But I can. I mean, I thought we would just talk through what are
Yeah, we can talk.
actual
I'll get rid of
scary
this
aesthetics.
visual aid here. This
No,
is
this wasn't a requirement. I just did it because I was going to talk about lists, so I figured I should have like the lists printed out.
You responsible person, you. All right, sure. Yeah, I mean, look, I've got the like first off, right out of the gate. Let me just share, like when we're talking about scary aesthetics, I think like here's a good start. What I'm working on right now.
What makes this scary? Like,
well, she doesn't
this
have a
is
head right now.
somebody's
That's kind of
fetish.
unfortunate.
Like,
but I think to many people, that's just it, Meph. They're scared of what they're going to discover about themselves. There's nothing actually scary about it. Okay, they're just going to be afraid that they're going to find something new and like, oh, I hope this doesn't go anywhere, and then all of a sudden they're down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
That they don't want to be down, and they're never coming back. But you know, like I'm just saying, get into it. So that's number one.
Warp Seer, Dom, Rat Lady, Mom is.
Yeah, Warp Seer got me acting up.
Mm-hmm. So you know, I think people...
Scaroused. This is Scaroused, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, exactly. Hope this doesn't awaken anything in me. Exactly. You know, I think that, like, I think people just fear their own inner depravity, but as a longtime player of Slanesh, I embrace it. Okay.
Yeah.
Here. True. True.
So how can people be more like you, Vince? How can they paint fearlessly? What fears must they face on the table, their hobby desk? What's the scariest, like, sort of like aesthetic, or what do you think like a player?
Well, I'm going to split this into two things.
Okay.
Right? All right. So to me, this all breaks down to I'm going to say three things, actually. I'm going to change my mind. Three categories. The one we never have to run into if you're painting like Warhammer stuff, okay? But I'll talk about it. It's like this little vestigial appendix. And that is very badly produced figs that have like soft detail and are just ugly little melted piece of plastic army men. You know, these come in board games a lot. They usually are probably from like Cool Mini or Not or somebody like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not. That's my answer to that question. The way to ask a question and then clearly answer it with the products you tend to produce. And so that's like the number one, right? Now, I don't think really any Warhammer miniatures fall in that category. In fact, most major game producers' miniatures don't fall into that category, right? They put out quality sculpts.
I think I mentioned to y'all. I haven't bought a single Marvel Crisis Protocol thing ever, and yet I have like redundancies of them.
Yes.
I don't have a redundancy on this one. Someone sent me the core set. Thanks, TJ, by the way. So I've got the core set. I've got all the shit. I haven't opened it. It's just sitting around me, and like I don't even know where to begin with this. But you talked about like some companies have like minis. I was surprised to find out that one fig's head was 3 pieces. And I was just like, what?
Oh. Thank goodness you never had to play Malifaux is my only answer to you.
Like injection, I guess like injection molding is like fucking first world, privilege shit when it comes to like minis company.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is like the famous Malifaux thing. There was a 12-piece head. Okay. That's
scary to me.
I have a little bit of experience in this because very early on when I was getting into AOS, I bought a box of Malifaux to use as a conversion. Yep. And I had this moment.
Yeah.
Where I'm just looking and like, oh, I accidentally bought Legos, I guess. All right.
And the problem is they're also true 28 mil.
Yeah.
So they're
not like heroic scale, big arms and teeth and stuff. Yeah.
We're very spoiled by heroic scale where actually our guys are all 6 feet versus the 5. It's like the 6 feet versus 5'11" meme in practice, right? So at any rate, There's not like I don't know, maybe Conquest's early minis are all pretty bad. Like
You said board games are really great, like because they always come with like a single cast like thing. You look at it on their box art, which has completely been digitally enhanced, and you get it, and it's like this like melted wax.
Yeah.
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 Sergio painted it on their box art, and then you get it, and you're like, oh, it's like the plastic figure you would get at the zoo of like a monkey or something like that.
Exactly.
It's like red or orange. Yeah.
Let me help everybody out. If you look at like a board game Kickstarter and the only thing they have is renders, stop. Do not give this money. Okay?
That's the equivalent of a video game trailer that doesn't show you gameplay.
Exactly
Yeah.
right.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. If I'm watching a video game trailer, it's like not actual game footage. I'm like, well, then I don't actually care.
I don't know what you're actually like trying to sell me, right? Like,
right.
And they'll do like rendered on PlayStation 4 hardware. Like, press X to doubt. Okay, you might have had the pieces of that Xbox hardware laying on a table connected to some other stuff, technically running a video. Been rendering part of it. I see what this is.
Crash Bandicoot, how that game came to exist, is a funny story about that. Actually, where they found out a way to use some of the software's like partitioned off memory essentially that was used for like running. Basically, they pirated the original PlayStation's own memory used for running its like base operations to like
that Bink video action.
Yeah, pretty great shit. But like it was like the inversion of that, like, rendered on this hardware or whatever. They're literally like cheating to make the game that shouldn't have existed. No, it's an interesting thing to note. So like we don't have to worry about like the lack of quality sculpts.
Yeah, but to me that is actually the greatest horror. You see a mini, you think it looks cool or a game or something, and then you get the actual minis and they're crap. Which this has happened to me before, and like I was foolish enough early on to like back a Kickstarter that I thought looked really awesome, and then I got it and I was like, oh no, what have I done?
What is this mini you're painting here? This thing, because this isn't like stock standard.
No, her. Yeah, she's a 3D
Lord.
print. She's a 3D print from my mini factory that my buddy printed for me. My buddy who has taken it upon himself to make his hobby 3D printing. So his like.
Oh, that's your whole life now. Like that's who you are. You're a 3D printer person. That's your.
That's
identity.
The one where you search on the STL site, but you uncheck safe search first. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that just came up with the word rat. But this dude, here's what I'll say. This is the least.
Players.
This is the least sexy one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There is a whole line of these. This is the most demure.
This is where the Slanesh Skaven crossover in Vince's mind comes together. This.
Right. I selected the one that was the most tame.
This is you're not gonna be able to see this, but this is one of my 3D printed friendo sent me. I'll be painting this Mephisto. I will actually do a hobby stream, everybody. It's for charity. I'm gonna do hobby. But it's like it's a Zomblor with like a little pumpkin head that it's like on it, and you get like it's actually like pretty solidly detailed in an unexpected way because it's one of the like more the like the you've got the coil ones and you got like the resin ones that you have to like cure and UV light and shit. So it's actually pretty dope. But I'm gonna make it a unit champion for one of my Zomblord squads. He's already got the scaffolding and stuff too, like with a burb. Like on it and stuff. Like he'll fit right in. So it'll be pretty cool in there. I hope nobody calls.
So yes, I'm very lucky because he has the AK like super dialed in. So it's just they're crisp as you can cut yourself on the edges of those things. So that's what you want. Anyways, that's the first thing. That's what I hate. That's always the worst. Mm-hmm. Now, but let's talk about now that we're talking about minis, we're actually gonna paint. Because if I get something that's that bad, I swear to God, I'll just throw it in the trash. Yeah. It's not worth it. Mm-hmm. Like I don't fall for sunk cost fallacy. You're not tricking me. Get out of here with that. It's like I spent money on it and I can either torture myself with this thing I spent money on or it can bring me great joy. Like this does not spark joy. Bye. Just out of here. Gone.
Well, I mean that's an important part about hobby. That's one of those life lessons thing. The idea is that you get some enjoyment. Maybe you don't enjoy painting, which is I know like makes your skin crawl. That scares you. But like maybe some people don't enjoy painting, but the idea of having a painted army on the table to play with their friends, that brings joy, right? Like
sure. Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, and so you got to get through it. I mean, different people are interested in
Yeah.
different things. It is a hobby leisure activity,
I
and
love
so
building minis.
it
Painting,
should
I'm not
be
there
fun
yet.
for you in some way, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it could also be a challenge, right? But generally speaking, you want to enjoy yourself when you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you enjoy different things than Vince or I, fine. Like what you like.
So then my other two categories are category one is the simple one. That's the minis that actually like trip a real phobia, fear, or trigger for you. Okay.
Oh,
Uh,
like tryptophobic, like Nurgle stuff or something like
yeah,
that.
correct. Like I have
Yeah.
tryptophobia like very, very intensely.
Oh,
I
And
geez.
I have
so
light I have light trypophobia or trypophobia. I have light. It's like it's got to be on like a certain frequency, and then I'm like
oh
it's
yeah,
just it's
no.
very primal.
Mine is
When it
super intense. Like my skin crawls, my stomach gets upset, I get very nauseous, I get dizzy. It's
let me
intense.
tell you about one of my night terrors sometime, and then you'll never fucking sleep again.
Sure.
I wrote it into
I,
my book in a sex scene where like my trypophobia and my nightmare was there, and I'm like, oh, what if someone's areolas was that? And I'm just like
pleasant.
gone forever. Yeah.
So so like that's or like Nurgle stuff can both fall into like the tryptophobia thing, but it can also just be like exposed pus and blood and guts and dripping stuff and things like that. Like it's people
Yeah, and these
oftentimes
things
have
are gross for sure,
yeah
like by definition, but different people have different tolerances for funny toy fake versions, right?
yeah exactly, and it's funny too because this is the sort of thing like in a movie somebody will just get exploded. Like I'll watch The Boys or something. And my wife is like, "Oh God," she's like, "Tell me when it's okay to look again," right? And I'm just like, cackling because like the funniest thing to me because it's not like nobody actually exploded. It's makeup or it's in CGI. Like I get it,
Yeah.
right? Like I can look at that and appreciate the craft. But she'll watch these documentaries that'll like of people being horribly mutilated or something, and they'll show like just barely disguised pictures, or she'll watch like Botched or something where it's horrible plastic surgery, and I'm like, oh God, why? Like that's a real person.
Oh yeah, yeah, where they have like the black sensor bars over the eyes and stuff like that of the people. Yeah, so because that in your brain, like that's real. That's
Yes,
even if the picture quality is bad or like something or other, things are over it. It's now it's taken from the bin of this isn't real in your brain and put into the bin of this is an actual thing.
exactly,
Kind of like
exactly.
how very old stunts like Buster Keaton stuff, even though it's black and white, the frame rate is awful. There's, you know, the pictures jumping all over the place. When they do use effects, it's so obvious, but it's actually totally engrossing and exciting when they do stunts in those old movies, because in those movies they really did them. Some of them were optical illusions or pre-planned,
Yeah,
but he really was on a train and he really had to hit that or he would die, or standing in front of that house falling thing, like he really stood there. And you know that it was partially because back in those days, I mean, they would just fucking they would kill horses that didn't care on movies, and they would endanger people's lives and they didn't care. And it's good that we're past that. But you look at CGI nowadays, some of it, the looks, it's so amazing, right? But in your brain, you're just like, yeah, CGI, whatever.
it's not real, right?
But
Exactly.
then
What was the
you watch
this
Keaton
meme just
stand
went around
somewhere. Hmm?
on Facebook of one of the Robin Hood movies. I think maybe it was like one of the 1950s Robin Hood movies, like the first color one.
Hmm.
Okay. They didn't know, they couldn't figure out how to do the arrow shots like practically. That
Right.
is to say, like there's no CGI, obviously. It's like the 50s or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Or early 60s. They couldn't figure out how to make it look real because they didn't just want to have him shoot an arrow and then cut
And
away
cut
and have it be
to
like,
him holding
yeah,
it. Yeah.
ah, right. They didn't want to do that thing. So they just hired a professional archer, like an Olympic archer, to shoot people. And just like they were wearing extra armor and padding under their normal clothes, and he had to hit the mark. Because if like they weren't wearing full body armor. If he had like missed by a foot, he would have just put an arrow through their skull and killed them instantly. They only had armor on like their back. But yeah, he just would shoot people. That was what he did. He just showed up to work every day and shot people, and they would just be like, "Zip, yep, that's real." So yeah, exactly. That's what you're talking about. Yeah.
In Insomniac Painting, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub, by the way. Insomnia, hell yeah, let's go. Um, The somebody also donated another $20 to our little light charity marathon going on. So that means we get to enjoy another trivia card here as Vince continues to talk about his
the person's name was
greatest
Flynn,
fears.
who actually shot people with a real bow in the 1930s Robin Hood. One of the
I
first.
didn't know it was actually Errol Flynn who did it, but Errol Flynn's a big hero of mine. I didn't know it was the 30s either. I didn't know it was that far ago. I just saw I just remember the meme. This entire facial hair structure I have is
Oh, really?
yes
It's on purpose. Like
Nice.
yeah, right on. I respect it.
I mean, well, it's on purpose in genetics because this doesn't grow. So I don't have anything here.
Yeah, this is where like I resent Heywoah because I can't really I grow in like actually like a really good like jawline shadow that makes me look like skinnier than what I actually am, which is pretty sweet. And I can get a full goatee. Well, technically only this part's the goatee, by the way, but I can.
But then like nothing here.
But nothing here. I just can't get any. And it sucks because
hey, you know what? We all got problems. I can't grow a good mustache. I don't got that Magnum PI, right?
Yeah, like Andrew yells and he shaved it off. That piece of shit.
Man, he's got a backup mustache.
I'll never forgive him.
One. But it's hey.
Thank you so much for the $20.
Rock
by the way,
what you got and what you can do, right?
Can we get Vince a Robin Hood hat? I mean, that's on Vince's, body agency and stuff.
Sure. And the answer is of course, but I prefer melee. A little more buckling of the swash and such. At any rate, is that a quarterstaff? No, it's a buck and a quarterstaff. So hey. So that's like the second part of scary minis to me, right? Is the things that like actually trip your fears. And then there's the ones that are like, and then there's the third part that is like people are scared because they're just scared to paint it because of the overwhelming complexity of the mini, which is the Bajangle syndrome, as we'll call it, right? Like your average non-demon Tzeentch model, for example. There's never an army that's more bifurcated, by the way. Like, this is two complete separate selves. The demons, you just, like, throw paint at them, and they're good. They are the best contrast things. You can just slap chop the crap out of them, go nuts, do whatever. They're just bubblegum and like, Laffy Taffy just stretched out and put into shapes, basically. And then the mortals took all of their detail and absorbed it all. I will take all of your power. Mine now. It's just jangle on jangle over there.
Yeah, skin, faces, filigree, just enough armor and clothes to put, what do you call those? The edge borders on armor. What's that called? Trim, I guess. Just trim on everything and little symbols and stuff. Yeah, but then also eyes and faces and flesh and yeah.
I mean, Daughters of Cain is intimidating to a lot of folks, right? Like it's.
Yeah, because that's a lot of faces, eyes, and skin and hair, but also it's like supposed to be pretty, which is
it's not supposed to be ugly. It's supposed to be like clean.
Yeah, if you have some like corn dude who's got no shirt on and he's got like scarification of the corn symbol all over there and like rings and stuff everywhere, but you can paint him grungy and it'll look great.
Well, plus he's also, they tend to be dudes, and that's just muscles on muscles, right? So you put a wash or something on that, and you're like, every little muscle just pops out, and you're like, oh, look at this.
Automatically defines the edges of everything, right?
Whereas the daughters are smooth.
Yeah, it's harder.
I like that you're doing the smooth, and you even got your voice smoother, and you got buttery with it. Is there, so I mentioned, I mean, those are the three categories, right? Like, that's it. Like
That's the three categories of fear in mini painting, yeah.
The minis suck. They have something
the easiest to deal with because just don't bother.
Yeah, don't buy the and we are we live on the green side of the fence, right? With AOS minis, especially like 40K minis are. Some people love them. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but I feel like because they stylistically to be a Space Marine, you have to look like a Space Marine, and there's really
look. Also, the Space Marine's an iconic silhouette.
Well, right, so you have to keep it.
Change the icon. The iconic.
You can't, and so they're like they have to make that, right? Like you have to. And so it's like, where do you go with that forever, right? and that's why I love AOS is because it's funny because I've talked to like some of the AOS artists, nowhere
It's
near it.
kind of new, right? They did it so that they would have an opportunity to be new and fresh again. Anybody can fight anybody. You can come up with anything.
Right.
You can in fact create an entire side game and a half of just letting sculptors get creative and do kind of whatever they wanted, and
Yep.
it wouldn't impact the main game in a negative or positive way because you can always just temporarily be selling them. It doesn't have to be a Sylvaneth unit for the next 35 years. If the Satyr people didn't work out, like that's fine. It's nice to let people be creative, even perhaps to a fault, if they want to be. And
Yeah,
so
I mean, I
I'm
think
always shitting on Warcry and I'm always shitting on Underworlds, but it's for like very specific reasons. It's not for this reason. These are
not for
good
the model
outlets.
quality. Yeah. You know, and I think people like what I'm always hesitant to like crap on sculptors because I know how hard it is. Like, if you're talking about like how much work is it to make how much work is it to make something the size of Kragnos or a Mega Gargant or anything big? Okay, any big monster, right? We can all picture some big monster we like, right? Anything that comes on a big sprue in a big box, right? That is 22 weeks on average of work for that sculptor, working 40 hours a week. Okay.
Just the sculptor.
Yeah.
In the chain of whatever concept artists were doing
Right.
before that, and whatever idea person before that, and whatever engineer implementing, like, oh, now we have to design the mold and we have to do this, and how is this going to split apart? Well, actually, that
Well,
might be
the
also the
sculptor does
sculptor
that
as
as
well.
well.
I think they would, yeah.
Yeah, they do that
Like,
as
how
well.
is this thing going to assemble and disassemble so that it's on a sprue?
Yeah. So that is a crazy amount of work, right? I mean, I don't think I can't picture. I mean, I've never worked on a painting a mini for 22 weeks straight of 40 hours a week, right? That is an insane amount of time, right? Like
Like, what's the
900 to
average,
1,000
what do you
hours.
think the Golden Demon amount of work spent is? 100 hours?
Yeah, I mean, like the Golden Demon stuff that I like, the things that I've had that have placed in Golden Demon that took home the trophies were they're both squads, so they were probably closer to like 200 hours because you gotta paint almost each figure to a really high level. So they were probably a little
Yeah.
over 200 hours, because they were both 5-figure squads. So
All right,
if you figure 40-50 hours a piece.
Yeah, so that's a month versus 22 weeks even for Golden
Yeah.
Demon quality.
new poll has hit. Thank you again, Darth Vaul, for
Oh,
your
new
donation.
poll?
Yeah. By the way,
Maniac.
both versions of Maniac are pretty solid. And watching fucking Frodo be the serial killer in the second one, pretty dope.
Oh, Maniac. Is that Picard versus Frodo? Is it that movie?
No, Picard's not in.
Oh, what am I thinking of?
You're thinking
You're thinking
of
of
Green
the
Room.
Green Room.
Green
Yeah,
Room.
exactly.
Yeah, I was
Green
gonna
Room
say,
is also excellent, but it's
I was
Chekhov
almost going to say
versus
the Green
Picard.
Stuff movie. Yeah.
No, it's
And you're
Chekhov.
thinking of exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it's Chekhov versus Picard.
Oh,
Or
Chekhov.
Chekhov remake versus Picard. Also, Green Room, and that director is one of my favorite horror directors currently working. He's got Murder Party, which is just a romp. It is an if you talk about like setup and subversion as like a narrative like device, it is the best film for subversion I've ever seen. It is so good at setting what you expect and then like subverting it in a horror thing which has its own rules.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes it's meta. I'm gonna spoil one. There's a MacGyver scene where like the character who's supposed to die like get murdered like gets locked in a closet and they look around, they see like gasoline and rope and they like see all this shit and they just open the door and throw it at the feet of the fucking people and then run. And then they trip over fucking boxes and shit. It's like it's those like two layers of shit, and there's it's
Oh, yeah.
it's
The
the hitch.
classic Simpsons scene where there's this spider. A spider grabs the spider, and it's got like a picture of a dead spider on it. The spray, that'll insecticide agent, and grabs that, Might even grab some other one first and then finally finds it and just crushes the fucking spider with it.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. There's one where like, because they do a little bit of like the Hitchcock thing, where if you show a gun on the table, the gun has to be used, right? And so like the whole film is just like kind of showing the gun, but then the way it gets used is always like the kind of the great part, and it's just
and subverting expectations is a powerful and pleasing tool that was perhaps overused in the mid 10s and early 20s. You can do it in a way that's super frustrating. Sometimes we forget with our tools of cinema that the end result is to be entertaining. So
yeah, right. All art.
I mean, for example, the reason why everybody loves The Last Jedi so much.
Yeah, speaking of, right.
Well, no, I mean, art is communication, right?
You can have a subversion of expectations in a entertaining or pleasing or satisfying way, and then you can have subverting them for seemingly no reason but to just subvert them.
But
here's an empty wine glass on the table, and you have wine, and you just pour it onto the table, and then stare straight at the audience, and they're like, "Oh, okay, why?"
Well, I mean, part of subversion is like letting the audience feel clever or letting the audience in on the joke, right? Like it's one because if the audience is like, "I solved the murder,"
it could be a punchline too, right? Like the throwing the stuff at the feet.
And horror and comedy are like they're just, and you taught me this one. This is one of the ones you taught me, and I've learned this and I've kept it forever. But they're both very subversive genres. Like they're the most subversive, and I think they both also have the shortest shelf life because like what you're subverting in horror or comedy tends to shift with society pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, it's just also, like
Go ahead.
It can just be how close the camera is shooting,
right? And that's what
comedy,
and that's what Joe said. Heywoah told me is the difference between horror and comedy is where you put the camera. Was what he said is like where do you put like do you show the reaction, like here, do you show the axe come down there, like where do you essentially, what do you shoot, what do you show, and that's the difference. And the first
if you take any horror scene and back it out into like an ultra wide, it will just become comedy instantly because it will look so goofball.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's like it will instantly seem
just silly. We had only 2 people vote on the poll.
Real quick, by the way, I want to say something.
It means
Insomniac Painting said, "Vinny, you made me put at least 30 hours into getting rotting flesh and I still failed. First of all, you didn't fail. You learned something, and I'm proud of you for doing it. And you built up your endurance muscles for painting, which is good. The first step to getting average at something is to fail at it a lot. The next step is to do it more." That's it.
Yeah. Consider this, the brush, it'll help you with brush control, even just painting in almost any way for 30 hours. And then also, it wasn't a waste of time, like Vince said. You had to get through those 30 hours one way or another.
And if you're enjoying the process itself, which is
XP.
Well, yeah, you're grinding XP, right? What
needs 100 XP, you got 30.
The difference between
30 anyway.
The difference between like a good MMO and a bad MMO is if the grind is fun or not, right? Like if you can enjoy the grind. If you can't enjoy the grind, the game is a chore. I don't want it.
If it's not a pleasing grind, it becomes a job.
Yep.
And
that's
no fun. Who wants a job? Imagine.
No, it's but yeah, like it's and this is a Vinceism is just actually like learning to enjoy the process of painting, not necessarily like focusing on the results. We're so focused on
the process of improvement, which is what I really liked about learning miniature painting. I had done other painting before because I went to art school, but I hadn't ever done like painting on top of 3D stuff, and so I got to carry over some of those skills, which were helpful in like stuff like, oh, let's choose a color palette that's pleasing or something like that, or applying paint. But putting the first model you've ever painted right next to the second model you ever painted, and then right next to the model you painted last year, and then the model you painted last week, you get to see like in physical space the absolute improvement there. And it's a really I think it's a big motivator for me anyway. It's fun to improve at stuff, sometimes just without any strings attached.
I
happens to be with paint.
Curiosity, self-indulgence, and self-improvement are all like kind of my jam in some respects. We have some really great chat kind of going on here in the background, and I don't know if
Oh
y'all
yeah, speaking of the chat, I was gonna make you feel better about that poll. I bet only 2 people have seen Maniac, and that's the 2 people that voted. To be
well,
perfect.
then guess. That's fine.
It's an
I do
anonymous
like the
poll. We will
Elijah
not
Wood.
judge you.
I do like the Elijah Wood remake. Molly hated it, and we're like, we kind of both, we watch horror movies together. It's one of our things. Our anniversary is fucking Halloween, for crying out loud. Like, I actually really enjoyed the remake of Maniac. There's some really solid like horror film, because maybe it's that shelf life. If you remake a comedy, it's just not funny anymore, right? But if you remake a horror, you can make it scarier, right? You can make it more unsettling. You can do
Yeah,
some
and you can. There are things to do, or perhaps just things that can happen that make you have a longer shelf life, or be timeless, or something like that, or be really dated. Like a comedy that's really referential is going to spoil in 1 year, right? Just like a horror
you
movie that
constantly talk
relies
about like pop
entirely.
culture. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's uh, Michael Jackson, and he's dancing in front of the Hulk, or what, like something like that. Um, I don't even think that's good, first of all. But then again, I have a bit of a snooty thing about that. But anyway, that you can watch a somewhat of a timeless comedy from decades and decades ago and still smirk or maybe even laugh sometimes. And it's the same thing with horror. Like if a horror movie is entirely relying on its visuals, say, and it's CG, well, then 10 years from now, the CG is going to look ass and the movie will be trash, right? But
Although
Yeah, I would
Aliens
argue
holds
that
up.
like an eternal comedy that's really good is certainly doable, but yeah, you're just not making any of the
Monty
references.
Python the Holy Grail is still, and even Life of Brian, or not Life of Brian.
Yeah, I like Life of Brian better, but I would
yeah,
vote Top Secret. Okay, Top Secret, Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker.
hmm
In my opinion, their best movie ever made. It was already set out of time, effectively, right? Because it's quote unquote set during like the Cold War period
right. And
in
that's
East
to its
Germany.
strength. If it's a period piece, it can stay there. And then when people are watching it, they're like, oh, so this is a movie that's taking place then.
Right.
And you get over the subconscious judgment that you could have from something that is supposed to be current or whatever. So anyway, yeah,
And
go
I
on.
mean, it like truly maybe one of my most favorite movies of all time. Like it's Val Kilmer at the absolute peak of his powers. And yeah, sure. I don't think Princess Bride's really a comedy. It's funny. But like Picker
Well,
said, Princess Bride, which is an
it's
eternally great movie.
Princess Bride is a
Airplane,
perfect
yeah.
movie, by the way. Like it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
perfect, and a perfect movie
Agreed.
doesn't mean the perfect movie. See Dan Drambles. Dan Drambles has a fantastic rant about how Dan Drambles of wholesome horror fame, which is I he put to words something I've always talked about, which is essentially like horror done from a place of empathy versus horror done from a place of cynicism. Now, cynical horror can be fun. That's the like I want to watch all these, campers get murdered. That's
Yeah, or
cynical.
like shock comedy, right?
Yeah,
Where the main draws are in what way do people die? Where's the DNA?
yeah. Like, and
That can people a lot of horror fans like that type of horror,
and
and that's
that's a little bit
natural.
more of the cynical. It's on the sometimes fan service, or it's on that like sort of nihilistic angle where they're just kind of like everything's shit. Like look at how shitty we can make it. But for me the best horror comes from a place of empathy. Children under the stairs or people under the stairs. Anything Jordan Peele does is it comes from a place of empathy, especially for like the black experience and stuff like that. Like the like horror that comes from empathy. Hereditary or The Babadook come from a place of empathy. The Babadook is very empathetic to the mom and her trauma. Like she's going. They made a movie that's still like, here's postpartum the movie. Enjoy that shit. And you're like, I don't enjoy this. This is the most terrifying thing I've ever fucking seen. Right? Because how do you scare people? You know people. You understand people. You give credence to the human experience when you make your horror. Like Halloween 2018, the reboot, excellent film. It is one of the best movies I've ever seen on like trauma. It's so much so like an excellent horror film that like as somebody who has trauma, we've got a charity for like depression, ideation, and self injury and stuff like that. Right now is what I'm raising money for. I have trauma, and like how at some point people cease to see you, they only see your trauma. And how Jamie Lee Curtis essentially is like all the movies in between like Halloween and Halloween 2018 don't exist for all intents and purposes for this film. She's just the person who survived Mike Myers, and her whole family thinks of her that way, and like and just she's an and it's and what does horror get to do with trauma? Spoiler: she blows up her goddamn house, and it's like fucking set it on fire. I wish I could blow up my trauma. You know, like, but again,
It's
that
one of those classic movie posters from like '58, and it says "blow up your trauma," and it's got this girl in a wedding dress holding dynamite, and like a swamp monster behind her with 6 sticks of dynamite in his mouth.
It looks like my Attack of the Crab Monsters poster, which if you've never seen it, it's out in my other room in my worm room. It's in the background of a couple of videos I've done. But yes, Roger Corman classic Attack of the Crab Monsters. It's out there with my Gun Crazy poster, which is my favorite, absolute favorite movie poster of all time. 1950 Gun Crazy. Check it out. It's maybe the greatest movie poster ever made. Sorry, Drew Struzan, you lose out. This is just better. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, I think when you think about horror in minis, it's hard to ever really capture it in any real way. Like you can mechanically capture it or they try to. You know, we talked about a little bit offline before we went live of like the terror of Nighthawk ghosts. That's them trying to make that horror real, right? Of fighting these.
Right, but the camera, like you mentioned before, I think the
spirits.
camera is zoomed too far out for that.
Exactly.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Exactly.
great observation.
But
it's never going to
that's
actually
fine.
land.
It just means you can have fun with it, but you're not going to like actually become. There's no suspense. There's no being scary or anything like that, and that's fine because you can have fun with the genre or the idea of the experience or something like that. It's just I think probably like an inherent downside to it, or maybe just a thing you can't quite do or yet, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, Kernigat just asked a really good question, which is, what do you think of the Kingdom Death take on horror minis? Well, first of all, I don't know if they're paying royalties to the estate of the author of Berserk and artist of Berserk, but they might.
Yeah.
Rip, by the
they
way.
might want to look into that.
F's in chat.
Of course.
From a boy.
Hey,
you know,
remember
like
the age-old difference between rip-off and homage.
yeah, absolutely. Is it cool?
Whether the audience
whether I like it or not, yeah.
Yeah.
It's whether I like it or not. The Penny Arcade yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got introduced to Berserk the right way. Just real quick here, I'll say this, and then I'll lead back to Kingdom Death, which was somebody. First of all, I watched it mostly at work.
New horror pull-up, by the way, everyone. So,
okay.
Pretty easy one. After the last one, nobody saw Maniac. I feel like everyone's seen this fucking movie.
And my buddy who had already seen it started on episode 2. This is of the longer 26 episode Golden Age that was made in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And so he starts me on episode 2, and I have no idea. And he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna watch this fantasy thing." Okay.
Yeah.
And
fantasy thing, just like Record of Lodoss War, basically the sequel. Yeah.
Right, because I'd mentioned watching Record of Lodoss Wars and how much I love it. Right, and he's like, "Okay, so you
love
watch
it."
If you start from episode 2, it's a pretty standard. Like it's dark, you know, it's darker, certainly a little more gritty.
But you didn't get that hook to know what you were in
so brutal.
For.
Yeah.
Right.
The perfect way.
And then all of a sudden you left turn in episode, you know, like 25 or 26 or whichever, however many episodes it was. I think it was 26. And you're just like the end of 25 into 26, and it's just like, oh nope, nightmare. Just handbrake turn into complete total nightmare, right? And then we went back and watched episode
so
1.
metal, it's so good.
Happens later because it's from the first manga arc, which I mean, whatever. I don't like the first arc anyway, so I don't care that we don't spend a lot of time there. But like when I read and watched, and I'm setting this up because when I watched Berserk and then read it and stuff like that, it lands for me. It is horrifying because there's real emotional investment in these characters and the just like unimaginable horror that they go through, right? And what they have to experience. When I look at like the stuff for Kingdom Death, I'm like, cool. It's a It's a weird looking thing. That's what it is all the time. Like, it's a weird looking thing, you know. And it doesn't. There's no landing for me. Like, they don't nothing. I don't find any of them scary or even unsettling. I just find them weird.
You
Like
know when
giant bug monster with a baby face and the anglerfish thing. I'm like, yeah, that's super weird.
Well,
it's like at the end of like when you beat some horror game, like when you beat Resident Evil, and then the credits go by, and to give you something to do, it like has an unlock at the end. Oh, you unlock this like thing in the uh, trophy room achievement part of the game, and you go there, and it just shows you like rotating models of the various different models they used in the game for
Yeah,
stuff,
sure.
and it's like on a white background, and it's just spinning slowly. That's Kingdom Death, and then during the game, in the context of everything, that was the graphic novel.
Very, very, very well said. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like devoid of context. Horror is hard to be actual horror devoid of context, right? Like it
Right.
ends up just being and I think that's the problem with many bad horror movies is they think that the spectacle of it is enough to just sort of sustain the thing, but the spectacle isn't scary. It's the context that makes it scary.
right.
You know? Like, you know, the original Halloween I find to be one of the greatest horror movies of all time. It is still one of my favorites. I'm a huge John Carpenter fan for
One of the goats.
most all of his movies.
If Carpenter has
Chad Carpenter.
yeah, if he's written, scored it, and filmed it, you're in for a good time, right?
He had a period of 10 years that's like this man cannot miss, like instant classic after instant classic after instant classic.
Yeah.
Spreading between genres and everything.
Yeah. Like, hey, look, I'll watch Vampires and still be happy enough with it. I'm not ashamed to say that. Is it a good movie? No, but I'll give him a
Yeah.
I'll give him a
I'll
I'll
do.
give him a
Oh,
pass.
hey, look, it's Escape from New York. Oh, hey, it's The Thing. Oh, it's Halloween.
Big
What
Trouble
a
in Little
range.
China.
All right, look at this slam dunk from you, chat gang. The Sixth Sense. I see dead people name the movie. Scary movie, by the way. The one person who answered that, it's a Mandela effect thing. It's I see white people. That was a trick option I put in there. He doesn't say I see dead people. He says I see white people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Siege Bro with the Miura background. True. Miura has some based quotes, actually, if you ever read some of his interviews. They're entertaining, even though they're translated.
He was a dude who was like, he strikes me as somebody who's like seen some shit and like hurt a lot, but also had a lot of love.
Yeah, the last third of his life, possibly more, he was expecting to die very soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it that way. It was kind of like well, no, it wasn't really like a Paprika director whose name I always forget because that was kind of sudden. But anyway,
Paprika, you mean Ruby?
What? No,
Monty
like
Ohm? Because Monty Ohm.
no, the anime movie Paprika guy.
Paprika.
What is it called? Blue something. Man, I love all these movies, but I forgot the man's name. I'm super bad at names. Apologies, Chad. But anyway,
Same.
Also,
it strikes me as the kind of person like Norm Macdonald, for instance, who had stomach cancer for like 25 years and almost died like 5 times and never told anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a certain type of person who very understands that they are mortal and this could be over, and they're looking to the horizon and they can see the end of their life, and they exist in that state for a very long time. And if they're a creative person, they can create some amazing things. It puts you in, I think, maybe it zooms you out, right?
Yeah.
Interesting way. Yeah, Satoshi Kon, thanks, Fee-Monk.
Well, Chat Gang's always got your back. Perfect Blue is excellent, by the way. Speaking of horror, like
I would say that it's horror. It's everything you could just say is psychological something.
Thriller, psychological horror.
Thriller, yeah.
Yeah, like
it was so very interesting watching a director who grew up in Japan that was obsessed by Gold and Silver Age American movies, and then incorporating that into their style, which is something you get a lot with cinematographers more than directors, where somebody will grow up and go to school in Austria or Russia or Germany or Japan, and then or Italy even especially, and then like move somewhere else and just do those movies in that other country, and everyone thinks they're a genius. Like, this happens all the time. And it was neat for that to happen the opposite, because we're used to like people coming coming to America and doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But this time it was an export, which I found really fascinating. It was neat to see our golden age through the eyes of someone from some other country who like loved it and was obsessed by it and did their own spin on it. I thought it was very cool.
Yeah. So real quick, Dos Asos, Mortal Realms, Aaron, says, "I'm afraid of assembling minis with whips." This is a mini horror.
Slanesh charioteers in chat. Oh.
Yeah, I mean that's the Bojangles problem right there. That's one of the three categories, right? The big,
that one's also
ridiculous,
physical pain though for that particular
flimsy whips. Oh sure, yeah, the Slanesh chariots. Yeah.
Okay, y'all already covered
lawnmower blades, basically.
Y'all already covered the Errol Flynn tangent I heard earlier. Watch American Marie nightly for 6 weeks. Yeah,
but
nice.
yeah, while you're doing that, I'll just say real quick. One of the reasons I love the first Halloween is because one of the first times I watched it when Dr. Loomis pulls up to the mental institution, and it's raining and it's dark, and he turns the car and the headlights just illuminate all of the patients wandering in front of the gate, like clearly just out, and the institution is open, right? Like that's such a like dark, horrifying image, and everything in that movie you can just picture. It seats. It's what we talked about earlier, right? It just seats in your mind.
Mm.
Yeah, as being like, oh, this is real. It's just somebody who's bad, just a bad person, right? Well, so that kind of visuals.
The original sensibilities of, and this is why like Mike Myers, why the first Halloween film works and the others don't, is Mike Myers is never meant to be humanized. That intro shot, yeah, he's never meant to be humanized. He is never meant to be explained. He is supposed to be primal evil that doesn't kind of make sense. The get back up one time thing, like, and that's where
it's also the classic rule, right, which got simplified over the years, and it kind of depends what everything does. But the rule is when you start explaining, you start losing.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, don't explain it. This is why the movie Signs failed, is because it was half of the perfect
minute they explain it.
When they explain everything, it becomes dumb because the not knowing is the scary part. Why is the dark scary to you when you turn off the lights? Because you don't know what's there, and you start to see things that aren't. But when you turn on the lights, it's like explaining everything about the bad guy, and they're like, oh, okay. Now, before I get you too hard on my side, chat, this isn't a persuasive essay. I would counter that with some movies do explain everything, and it's still horrifying. You just have to be good at it. For instance, Old Boy explains everything at the end, and it actually makes it worse.
The Scariest Army in AOS.
The real takeaway is prove that you know the rules so that you can break them, and if you do it well, it'll work.
Yeah, Perfect Blue is excellent. Yeah. Oh my God, Black Star. Someone talking about Black Star by David Bowie. That album haunts me to this day. He knew his fucking number was up.
Oh, I love that music video. It's so scary, actually.
Yeah, with the fucking closet and
with
Lazarus. Lazarus is the
nice,
one with the
nice
button eyes.
scary.
Yeah, Lazarus, because the actual
Speaking
Black Star song is about the kids and stuff. Oh, he knew he was gonna fucking die, but also this is a person who swore his pool was possessed by the devil, which was also pretty metal. David Bowie, by the way, is a chaos magician. If anyone knows, if anyone knows, like the Invisibles, Grant Morrison style of thinking. David Bowie's like kind of one of the OG like chaos magicians. He literally absorbed personas to essentially like affect the world in completely different ways. David Bowie like knew his number was up, and he wanted to make that one last fucking haunting thing to just penetrate you and stick with you forever. The Lazarus and Black Star music videos. Well, it's a trilogy. There's 3 of them. I can't remember the third, and I believe they're shot they're released in reverse order. You're supposed to like Lazarus is supposed to be the first, and then the Black Star is it's something like along those lines. It's kind of metal. Talking about that. I had a thing I wanted to reset. Oh, someone mentioned Mandy. Mandy is also a perfect film, but I also would extend it to being a masterpiece. If you want to see one of the like most beautifully shot films that isn't Blade Runner 2049, Mandy. That film is gorgeous, and that last scene is forever in your mind. And there's the sort of like the second act transition, haunting. What a fucking flick. I wish I understood Mandy. Mandy is proof that Nicolas Cage is not an actor. Nicolas Cage is a genre unto himself. Like, I'm ready for the Nicolas Cage like metaverse where it's like the Cageaverse, like an MCU style where all of the Nicolas Cage characters like exist simultaneously and stuff like that, and they go on a huge quest, like the one with Jet Li, except you're Nicolas Cage, and I would make that RPG for you tomorrow. What I agree about Mandy. That being said, when I watched it, was with some friends, and they were less scared by it and rather confused. For me, it was wonderful. Yeah, I don't know if I would like. It's horrifying, but it's not scary. Like there are horrors in it in the way that like seeing like an animal in a car when it's hot outside is horrifying, right? Like it's just,
Sure.
But it's not like scary.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
it totally makes sense.
The Unbearable Weight. I've never seen it. I did recently watch the Community episode where Abed watches too many Nicolas Cage films.
It's a great episode. It's a great episode.
Such a great episode. Speaking of how to do nerds the right way, Abed. Speaking of how to do nerds the wrong way, The Big Bang Theory. And then somebody mentioned Train to Busan. Train to Busan is a fantastic film. And has the American version come out yet? I hope not. Speaking about a movie that doesn't need to be remade because it's a perfect movie. Train to Busan is excellent. And I mentioned earlier that Molly and I, one of our things is like watching horror movies together and just trash TV. We'll watch like garbage TV shows on purpose together because that's fun too. But we got done with Train to Busan, and she just like exclaimed really loudly, "No movie should make me feel every emotion at the same time." She was so mad. She was like crying and like angry and like afraid. It was amazing. It was what a great film. Like Train to Busan is also I love the film because like the biggest shit totally gets what's coming to him, but like it's sort of like it is a film that is essentially like very anti-capitalist. Sorry, never mind. I'm not going to do anti-capitalism on my first episode back from hiatus, but it's a very anti-capitalist film too. If you go back and watch it, and like essentially how like capitalism stands in the way of community the whole time, it's pretty based. So there's a different lens you can read Train to Busan from.
Is this Train to Busan?
Oh, such a good fucking movie. It wasn't just horror; it was a lot. Yeah, no,
it was a lot. Right.
Yeah. That's where like Molly.
I don't know.
Have you not seen Train to Busan? Oh my
Nope.
God! Watch it before the American version comes out and ruins it, and everyone pretends they've like. Remember when I told you to read?
Watch American remakes.
Okay. Some are fine. The remake of the ballet movie that it's been in my head the whole time.
Black Swan.
No, Black Swan's actually a good flick too. Is Parasite a horror movie? Horror is like pornography. I'll know it when I see it.
Movie? No. But there's a lot of different ways you can describe a genre, right? It's kind of like Timmy, Spike, Johnny. Nobody's just one.
Suspiria, great, like I believe an Italian horror film. There was a remake done of it.
Yeah.
Relatively recently. Also a great film. They are not the same movie. They have nothing to do with each other. This is like the American Suspiria is not. It's just it's like it's kind of like what happens. So like Rogue
Yeah,
One.
why does that ring a bell?
It's
It
a
70s Italian slash thriller kind of cult
yeah.
classic.
Yeah, like Dario Argenio or whatever.
Argento, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, something like that. Um,
Also, there was a remake with a bunch of chicks in bondage or something like that. There was some dancing scene. I thought that was good. I liked it.
they're both
It
very good.
was fucked up,
Yeah.
but that's what you. I mean, you paid to get in the door. Like that's what you wanted, right?
Yeah, no, the Dario flick I mean it's artful, it's weird, like it's and then the other one is like fucked up in a different way. And it's like it reminds me of
Dario Argento. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah. I couldn't remember the last name, sorry.
It was like during the
But
Was
we're
that
all bad
during?
with names. We already established that.
What was that?
I said we're all bad with names.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
already established that.
Was that during the British censorship era?
Might have been
I can't remember what it's
it was
called.
the 70s,
offhand.
right? Like because that
Yeah, I
was when
forget
they,
what.
they went after Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well, and they're like, we can't actually cut anything because it's all implied violence. There's actually nothing against our censorship rules in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The horror of that whole film is implied.
Yeah,
Which
because
is
it's reactions, right? Cut
yeah,
to reactions.
yeah. It's kind of brilliant. That
Eisenstein alive and well.
yeah, yeah. Um, where I
Sorry,
ended
just
up on
having my
Suspiria.
dinner. Chalky
Yeah,
flavor.
whatever.
Delicious. If
Um,
you're gonna be drinking those boosts or whatever, and you're thinking about, oh, there's a vanilla flavor, there's a strawberry,
I liked
get the
caramel.
chocolate.
I
It's the
liked
only
caramel.
one you won't be sick of after a week.
That makes
Guarantee
sense. That makes sense. I got sick
you.
of the vanilla one like half a can in. I was just like
Yep.
done. I was like, I
Too
liked it.
good.
I liked it.
And the strawberry one just tastes weird.
Yeah.
But the chocolate one you can drink for a year and you won't get sick of it.
Oops. The so Insomniac Painting did donate $100. Said never heard of the charity
big.
before. But as a sufferer of depression and ideations, I love that you're supporting it. Yeah. To Write Love in Our Arms actually like had a story. So I do a charity stream every July, called the Rantathon. It's a 30-hour long charity stream for mental health. I've done it for Mental Health America. Last year I did for Take This. We raised $12,000 this last year. Over 3 years, I've raised $30,000.
What was the goal for that one? What was the initial
10
goal?
10K. And I was told by very smart people
Blasted.
who work in finance and law, and like a myriad of other like more knowledgeable content creators than me, that 10,000 was reckless. And I'm like, not only do I want to raise 10,000, my secret goal is 12,000 because we had like $8,000 in swag to give away, and nothing we paid 8,000. It was like donations, people putting in their own time and labor.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, but you want some equivalent
I wanted
value.
like a 50%
Yeah.
increase on that, right?
Optically,
Like that
yeah.
was like how I'm like, I want a 50% return on the like
Right.
amount.
No, that's proper because the optics, like if you raise $1 million and you give out some fucking handbags or something, like
Yeah.
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, so like in my head I'm like, I want to raise 12,000 for charity. And then like, well, what's our floor? And everyone's like, your floor should be 7,000 because that's the last 2 years you raised 7,000 and 10,000, right? I'm like, so
Yeah, and so I set you up to sound really impressive by you saying, well, our initial goal was 7,000. We fucking destroyed it, almost doubled it.
yeah, no, we crushed it. And
Yeah, I mean that was proper because the charities during COVID, everyone's stuck inside. They have extra money, right?
yeah, and there
So
was
now
a
that
there was a bull
everything's
market
opened up,
there,
like,
so
there's
I
the
had people like
possibility that
cashing out
people
their fucking stonks the year
Yeah.
before, and we had a downturn coming into this year. So like I couldn't rely on stonks and diamond hands to boost our charity. So it was organically
Some diamond hands,
yeah
sipping champagne,
didn't
dipping
happen.
tendies in
No,
a
no, this
food.
last year was hard. No, it was, again the advice I got was sound.
Yeah,
It was
it
just
was good
like
advice.
I Gurren
Well,
Lagann that shit.
it was advice targeted at someone worse at charities than you. I guess that's fine.
Right,
It
but
was good advice.
I just Gurren Lagann that shit. It's really what happened. Like I
Yeah.
went Kamina, like these two heads should fit together, and I just like pointed, and we did it, and y'all both helped me. You took the overnight shift, Vince. That Vince mini, by the way, that you paint for charity, like just it brings all the girls to the yard. You're like, my mini's better than yours. Damn right. I could teach you, but I'd have to charge on my YouTube channel where I have all these great videos.
I've heard people in my Discord talk about the random miniature they won during that, and they're like treasuring it. I think Hades won one of them as well. Something from that.
I don't think he won a Vince one. I know Martin Orlando won one last year, and
Get richer.
and he's just like, he's like, I'm gonna make you paint my army in my paint scheme, and I just want like a regular ass foot troop, so I can learn how to be better by like studying your mini. And like, what a very Martin thing to do. Pretty fantastic. No, but what I was saying is like I don't have it in me to like do Rantathon twice a year, and
sure. It's a huge effort.
And it's not just me. It's tons of people in the back, people donating their time. We spent 6 months preparing that.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't know that it would actually be healthy to try to do 2 a year.
No, and so I took a hiatus for my own podcast after that because it was just like I threw everything in that year. We did it, and I got an email from to Write Love on Her Arms, where they're just like, hey, we just want to send you some swag, because like we like your mental health visibility. We like that you're candid, with your stuff. We think you operate, blah blah blah, and so we just want to like send you stuff as a thank you. And I'm like, I see you. But then I like clicked on their site because I had this moment where like, who the hell just like offers to send you crap? And like I'm like one of those like early like beta release models of millennial, where like we're kind of defective and we're not like fully a millennial yet. And so I was just taught to like fear the internet and trust nobody forever. So I clicked on the website and I read like how the story was like sort of an homage, and I checked like Charity Navigator and stuff like that, and it was a depression charity, and I was diagnosed last year with bipolar disorder, bipolar 2. I've always known I was depressed. I've talked about it pretty openly as I've done mental health stuff for a long time. But my mom was bipolar 1, and so I had like some massive denial about the possibility that I could be bipolar. No, I'm just regular depressed. I'm not like turbo fucked depressed, right? Like you see PTSD. I was diagnosed as well as ADHD. Hey, so I've just got like the fucking trifecta of fucked up brain chemistry. 2 of them genetic, and 1 of them traumaed into you, right? Like PTSD is from trauma, and I've been mentally health visible, and I read that message, and I got through it, and I'm like, I do Mephtober every year for me. It's my one time a year where why do I like horror? Because I've seen some shit, man. But for me, horror is a safe place to interrogate trauma and icky thoughts. It's where you can put that stuff and you can, like, again, interrogate it. And the beauty of horror in film and books and games is you can put it down and step away from it for a minute or two. You can come back to it. If you don't like that fucking movie, it just sucks. It's off. And
you get that miniature with 12 parts to the face.
Yeah, 12. Nope, out.
Yeah,
12. Yeah, nope. I'm out of here. Right, like the trypophobia mini. Like, nah, fuck this. Right, like.
Right.
But with life, you kind of don't really. The opt out of life is, horrible.
Well, you don't opt out. You redirect. That's the thing, right?
So I read it. And I'm like, I'm gonna be online for 30 days anyway. I might as well raise some money for this charity that like resonated, with the depression and stuff. And I think
bad for day 1 actually.
Was that?
Not bad for day 1 actually.
Yeah, no, not bad at all. So I appreciate you donating there.
QY chat.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I need to call it. We've gone maybe an hour longer than I should, per sense, but.
Hey, you spent an hour of it on a hold. You can call.
Way to rally and put that extra hour back in, man. Like,
absolutely. Look, I was more than happy to do it because let's be honest, this is tremendous fun, and I like hanging out with both of you gentlemen a lot, and still need to figure out when you're both going to get over here to the estate, so we can be doing a proper D&D marathon or something like that.
Oh yeah, I don't often leave my log cabin wizard tower at the top of a mountain, but once or twice a year I could pull that.
Mm-hmm. You just got here. Can we start over, Waffles Enjoyer? For all the
sure.
Waffles
There's an option in the video player. It's called a video on demand, and I put it there. I called up Twitch. My dad works for them. I had him put it there on purpose, and it's for you. Also, good meme.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, I mean, just chat. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. I actually have I still have 3 trivia to do, but that just
Blast it.
means
Lightning round. Let's
lightning
go.
round. It takes me a while to make these fuckers. All right, I'll do it. You guys, Vince, if you need to peace out, man, go ahead. I know Heywoah's got slight insomnia powers as well, so he can help me.
Yeah, I go to bed at 6 a.m. That's my bedtime.
I go to bed
The
at
joys
question
of
mark.
having clients.
I'll hang out for a few more minutes.
All right.
I'll hang out for a few.
All right. So y'all vamp for me for a second.
I'm watching text from my wife, so it's it's all good.
Oh, who directed that?
That took me an honest minute to get.
It sounds like a John Candy movie, doesn't it?
It does. Text from my wife. Yes, exactly. I think that was that's probably that honestly that's probably a Judd Apatow movie.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I wish that wasn't true.
Certainly not in the cell phone era, not even the You've Got Mail era.
Right.
It was the rotary phones and shoulder pads on women's suits era.
Yeah.
Vince's hot new one-man show, text from my wife. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Single spotlight, a chair, that's it. Vince walks out on stage. Oh man, you know what? Speaking of coming on your show for the Oga book.
Yeah.
I might have to put brush to model once again.
You got to paint the new guy, the new hunter guy.
Yeah, the gut buster hunter. I did need a third hunter with garbage war scroll in my army.
I was just gonna say, yeah. Maybe this one has a good war scroll.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a foot hero that seems like he probably costs 150, 160 points, who is supposed to be a, quote, monster slayer. I'm not holding my breath on that combat profile.
Hold on, let's here we go. Okay, we've hit a topic. Let's chart this out. Hey, well, what's this guy actually got to do to be let's sketch out the 100 and let's call him, you know what, let's just make him an even 200. He's a 200 point hunter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's he doing to monsters that is making him actually worth his points? Understanding that is a very specific thing.
Yeah, and I just finished. Well, not just finished, but I was working on
new polls out. Go ahead.
Okay. New poll, real quick. What franchise in 2004 featured self-amputation traps? I know the answer to this one, although I've never seen any of those movies. I know they exist because of popular culture. Anyway, I kind of ran into this when I was doing the custom ogre book. Yep. I'm like, here's a category of unit that they make. Some would say the cup overfloweth of foot hero that's supposed to fight stuff but has no synergy, like that specific job. And I've said before that it's like,
and this is not just an ogre. This is all
of it. I'm talking about the game of Age of Sigmar.
Yes.
A real.
This is Eltharion. This is
almost a staggering percentage of heroes fall into the. I have no synergy. I'm not a wizard or a priest, and I'm actually supposed to fight, but I cost 120 points or 150 points, and I'm a hero on foot.
The entire Khorne army.
Yeah, just about the whole Khorne army. 25 models in Stormcast, stuff like that. It's like categorically not a good role to be in. Like the job of foot hero man is supposed to fight. I think it really is it's a race to the bottom. In that once you hit the bottom, it kind of breaks the point cost calibration of the game a little bit. Like our Cygor, what would you pay for it?
Yeah, sure.
The 40-point Cygor that just has 13 wounds and it kind of breaks things. Making a 150-point, even maybe 200-point foot hero with like a 6-inch move that's supposed to like actually kill stuff and do real damage. I believe you would have to make it overpowered. Like it would break things. It would be too good almost.
But you should. I mean, that's the thing is if you're going to make the foot hero, like you have to kind of overtune it. Like you got to make it a 200 point like idiot who's like
right.
kind of OP.
I'm not trying to cop out with the.
Wow.
Well, you would have to make it
100% of chat gang knew that this film was Saw. Like none of you fell for the bait. I thought it was pretty.
All right, I'm gonna pitch.
I ran into a big problem with that. You design that thing, and now you give it an arcane tome.
Sure. Let's see if we can defeat this. Here we go. I'm gonna pitch. I'm gonna pitch a stat line at you. Okay. All right. He's like 7 or 8 wounds. He's an ogre hero, so he's like 7 or 8 wounds. Whatever. Fine. He's got a 4-up save base. Okay, sure. Because
better than average. Okay, not a 5.
Yeah. We'll just give I mean, ogre heroes are generally like 4-up saves. That is to say,
they all have
non-pastory heroes. Yes.
They all have 5-up saves except for Tyrant.
Yeah. I'm going to assume he's more wearing Tyrant armor than Hunter armor.
Right. 4-up is fine.
I'm sure. I think it averages to 4 if you count the guys on the mounts. That's what
all right. I was thinking on foot. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, but at any rate, okay. So it's like 7, 8 wounds, 4-up save, whatever. Here's his shooting profile. Okay, he's got 4 attacks on 3s and 2s. -2 rend, 2 damage. All right, that's his base shooting profile. Against a monster, old, right? His shooting attack becomes -3 rend and does D3 plus 3 damage. Also, against monster attacks, he gains a 4-up ward save. When attacked
so he can possibly not die. Yeah.
Like, did we hit somebody who's like, I'm not saying is he going to be in the army, because the problem is anytime you make a specific answer piece like that, it's very meta dependent as to like what's going on and what's in the meta and stuff like that. Like
it's like
the anti-horde guy can be the most amazing scroll in the world or the worst thing in the world. How many hordes are around, right?
Right. Or like the kill shot, kill a bow guys from Cool Boys. So you essentially make him like a cannon, right? You give him a cannon profile.
Hold on. I gotta go off. Hold on. Wife's calling me. Sorry.
All right, wife calling. Wife aggro, as they say in WoW.
I usually say ganked by kids or ganked by
kid aggro.
Kid aggro, yeah. All right, next poll's coming.
That's really how you do it. I was thinking of when I was trying to design mine, because I did this with Icebrow Hunter rewrite, and I'm like, well, I could give him, because we're like a dungeon master in D&D. If you're designing a battle tome, you can do anything, right? You don't have to use the book's stats. You can make something that'll kill any party, right? Because you're just inventing stuff. So I could give an Icebrow Hunter enough damage to just like kill monsters in a single shooting phase. But should you, right? And if they're good enough to do that, what's to stop somebody from taking 6 of them, which is kind of the problem. And I went for the old debuff thing. I don't know if you remember, I went over it on this very Twitch channel when we were talking about.
Yeah, it was right before my it was the last month before my hiatus actually. You on, yeah. It was like June or July or whatever. Yeah.
They had Gay Bald, right? The legendary unerring spear from Myth. And you don't roll to hit with it because it's in the name. It's the unerring spear. It does not err. So it simply hits. You're just rolling for severity of it. And it did either a D6 damage or a D3 damage, but it debuffed them. So that's my answer to it, was a debuff thing.
By the way, seeing the answers come in, I put only bangers on this list, by the way. Every one of these films.
Holiday horror film features a miner and a pickaxe. Rare Exports, Krampus, Ready or Not, Trick or Treat, My Bloody Valentine. I've seen 0 of these movies, so I will abstain from voting.
I see we're kind of polls running out. See, it's like with trivia
all over the place. Yeah.
With trivia with chat and stuff, you want the timer to be long enough for everyone to realize there's a poll with like the chat delay, but not Google the answer.
You gotta talk about that,
right? Yeah. And so it's like.
Okay, so on those streams where some people's streams are really chat interactive, and some people's streams are almost like watching TV, where they're such a character and they're just doing stuff. The chat is like an audience, right? That sometimes it claps and sometimes it does the wave. And so for those, you don't have to mention it, but I do the chat interaction thing because I'm not exactly the dancing clown.
Well, chatting is the show within the show. That's been a mainstay of my Twitch career with AOS content for a long time. Is the rabbit holes, the rants, the making Warhammer content that's more about the adjacency to Warhammer than like Warhammer itself, where you can learn like a life lesson, a little philosophy. You can get some prescriptive. Rather, you can get some judgments on reality from it and stuff like that. It's using
very often you can take life advice from game advice. Not always.
Right, and I try to focus on that. I try to focus. Like if I was man reads book all the time, like what life advice am I getting? Have connections, a bunch of money, and no consequences. Like, I mean, I guess that really does work for reality. But all right, so
getting connections is OP. It's teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork OP.
And you should do that.
Also, have you seen the animal ratings where like the dude rates animals like their character classes and MMO RPGs and shit?
No, but it's already funny in my head.
Yeah, it's great.
This is already a great idea. That is funny.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. Like he goes to
it's like badgers are OP. I can't wait for next pass.
Yeah, like they need to nerf.
I don't know why the fuck this thing is immune to snake venom, but it just is.
Yeah, they need to nerf this shit. Like the devs need to.
It's not on theme even. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah,
no, it's a fantastic series, but because it's like
here's zoo. Okay,
the person is totally into like zoology and shit like that. They're not even like.
Yeah, and they get to throw in the cool facts.
Yeah, they're like
kind of educational.
A biology major. So they're like, what if Steve Irwin. You played MMOs and like instead of like crikey, like actually like did MMO humor to deliver. It's actually pretty great shit. So which holiday horror film features a miner and a pickaxe? Rare Exports, Krampus, Ready or Not, Trick or Treat, or My Bloody Valentine. My Bloody Valentine was the correct answer, but it is a terrible movie. Every other movie I put on here as an answer is a great flick. Go check it out. Krampus is a black comedy, 2015. I think it's got like actual like. It's got like you're gonna watch it and you'll be like, holy shit, how'd they get all these like, like great B tier comedic actors in it? It's pretty great shit. Rare Exports is I think it's Iceland, Finland, Sweden. It's a Scandinavian film. What if Toys with Robin?
Some great horror movies up there.
Oh, they're a master of the slow burn. They're a master of the slow burn horror.
Yeah, because that's life during the winter.
Right. Very psychological horror heavy. But Rare Exports is like, what if the Robin Williams movie featuring LL Cool J, Toys, was actually a horror movie instead of like a comedy instead? And
it was not funny. It was a psychological horror movie.
Well, this one shot like one instead of like a upbeat campy film with Tori Amos in the soundtrack. Ready or Not. The holiday is her wedding, and if you want to see what Kill Bill should have been, with the devil in it, Ready or Not, that film fucking slaps. And the lead actress, she had something like 87 dresses she wore throughout the whole film because they had to because she starts out she starts out smoking in a wedding dress, which is like one of the most like classic. Sort of. Subversive. It's one of the most classically subversive like images of a woman subverting femininity, right? She's in the wedding dress and she's doing this masculine thing, the smoking in the wedding. It's so fucking great, and it's got board games in it. If
somebody thinks of a woman smoking in a wedding dress and or bride's what is it called? Bridesmaid's dress is subverting. They haven't been to a lot of weddings.
Well, no, but in film, it has in the language of film or the lexicon of film is a very classic like imagery. It's just like green lighting. Green lighting flags to like this scene is unnatural. This scene is something's off in this scene.
Yeah.
A bride a bride smoking a cigarette in film in classic language of film is there's a subversion of femininity. And then Trick or Treat is an anthology. Again, the actual answer was a terrible film, so I put 4 great films that are all the holiday themed on there for y'all. And then we got how's the wifey doing? Is everything all right?
We're all good. She
Rant number 2.
No. This is smaller. I'll be quick with this. She called me and was like, "Can you change the hotel names back to what they were before?" And I'm just like, I can try. I'll give it a try. That's it. That's end of discussion. Right. I got it done. So there we go.
Oh, easy. All right. Did you call the person up on the phone? Hey.
No. Oh, I tried that. I called 6-7 times while we were sitting here. Like, I just kept letting the phone ring, going to registration and operator both times, and neither time anything would work. Nobody's there. That hotel shut off their phones. I'm pretty sure they're just like, no, we ain't answering those. We're done with that.
Yeah. At that hotel, right at the front desk, there's a phone, and they just have the receiver just straight off of it.
Totally.
And then next to that is this chick in a wedding dress smoking a cigarette inside, just doesn't give a fuck. That's it.
I know it's not what you were talking about, but I'm almost done with, but I haven't completely finished. I'm on like halfway through the last episode. This show called Tokyo Vice, which is everything I kind of love. It's like set in Japan in the late 90s, Yakuza crime thriller type of thing.
Yeah.
That show should be called Everybody Smokes. It's just every scene, every time, like at all times, all people must be smoking. Period. Constantly. So there you go. Anyways. So does my profile work for you for Monster Hunter, by the way?
Oh yeah, for doing some damn, yeah. You don't like when I was talked about this when you were on the phone, but you know, when you're making a war scroll, you're the dungeon master, right? You can invent anything. You can, if something needs to do enough damage to kill monsters in a single round of shooting, you can just type those words and put the numbers in there if you want. Right. Or you can, it's just should you, right? It could be a walking cannon. It could be a walking artillery piece weapon profile. It could have a debuff on there if you're not trying to kill everybody's toy on round 1. Is it okay if they kill it in 2 rounds or just 1? How much randomness do you put in there? A lot of ins and outs and what have yous. Also, in that specific army, Gutbusters, they already do have something that is supposed to kill monsters, and that's the Iron Blaster. And so now I guess we have 2.
I thought we weren't talking about comedy tonight.
You don't know how much pushback I get when I talk about how lead belchers and iron blasters are actually bad, and I thought everybody was just on the same page about this. But when I posted that one meme of like
content does not meet guidelines,
face and then the O face, right, where random damage characteristics and destruction, and then looking at King Broad's hammer, and when I posted that thing, people are just like, iron blasters are amazing. I'm like, let's not get carried away.
What game are they playing?
You can 100 points with a required warlord battalion and choosing every single option and trait and subfaction for you, eschewing any freedom, and get 4 iron blasters that will probably...
Meph, I'm still on the rank cam, by the way.
Sure.
It was fine.
That will maybe kill a monster that's not safe stacking too hard. Like, you can do that. But my key complaint is like things that hit on a 1-shot 4-up D6 damage.
Always terrible. Always terrible. Just period.
But but then there is a way to do it. There is a way to do it that's kind of, because I had that where the person's like, and then okay, look, 5d6. I'm listening.
Sure.
It's the
old
Thunderstrike thing. Like, you had my attention, now you have my curiosity, or whatever the fuck that meme is. Like, oh, a single attack, huh? and like a 44% chance, probably, I don't know what the rend is, of doing no damage, but then it's going to be some big random damage thing. Oh, 5d6. Oh, word? Okay. Keep talking. All right.
Sure.
There is everyone can be bought, and it just takes, it's not close to that 1d6 you were attempting with us before. Just saying.
In like fourth edition, in the fourth edition Empire book, Sigmar, which was a character you could take, you couldn't take like gunpowder weapons if you took him. He could trade all of his attacks for a single, like, strength 10 attack that if it
The
hit did
super
like
power
d6
punch. Yeah.
strength 10 hits, which was just wild in the context of that game. So yes, he could just swing Golmaraz and just crack anything wide open. So yeah, there's a thing there. But yes, that's a single d6 on a 4-up is just like, this is trash. This is just straight trash every time.
I was very happy to see the rules previews though for King Broad and other stuff for SOB. I can already tell there's glimmers of hope. I can see light at the end of the tunnel. You're getting fewer attacks with massive damage numbers, like 5 damage and 5d6 and stuff.
I know, right? Could we actually get the giants we thought?
Mathematically, it can work out to be about the same, although it'll be higher peaks and valleys of failure and success. But like generally, you can do 10 attacks at 2, or you can do 2 attacks at 10. And we're talking about verisimilitude.
Yeah.
And you're using,
I hate that every weapon in the game.
telephone poles. I mean,
yes. How many weapons are we going to print that do more damage than the giant clubs? How much of a joke are these things to you? Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And it might actually be worse. And it, statistically speaking, probably kind of is. But that's okay, because it's way more important that it feels fun.
Exactly.
And it feels right. Yep. Than if it's like statistically speaking 5% better.
Exactly. When I heard the defense of it originally, like, yes, but it'll produce a more even damage number. I'm like, that's not why anybody got into this army.
People
okay,
did not buy Sons of Behemoth for a smooth distribution of damage numbers.
Psychographic profile that wants to play this army, psychographic profile you're designing for. There is no overlap in this Venn diagram. What are you doing?
These are Cabbage Patch Kid sized plastic toys that you're putting.
You put them in the seat and buckle them in to go to the tournament. Yeah.
These people are ready to sign up for flip a coin, deal 15 damage. I'm in.
Right.
Sure. Oh, tails? Well, it was a fun flip.
Cool.
So that gives me hope, because it's on theme. It's on brand. It's they're learning. It feels more correct. I'm like,
they're
okay.
beginning to believe.
They're starting to believe, yeah.
Yes.
Or what's that? I think I have it. Oh, you probably can't hear it through Discord.
Damn. The truth is out there. Yes,
yeah.
The X-Files. Yes.
It's part of that misquoting movie thing, on that meme where you misquote movies on purpose. Like, I wish to believe.
Right.
I will return from Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever, all this stuff. Oh, okay. Well, please understand that. Mm-hmm. Oh, please tell me it's self-aware and it has given itself a name.
They're saying you're muted, Meph, for some reason.
Yeah, I am muted. It's all right.
Am I?
I want to make a Meph shirt, by the way. No, I'm muted. All night tonight I've been on top of the muting. But I want to make a shirt that just says Meph is muted, like, for myself.
Sure. I want to get one of those shirts that the other streamers have that says same. From same shirt, because they're like wearing the same shirt 3 days without taking a shower or anything. I want to get one of those that just says same. I think Asmongold started that, but I got to get one of those.
All right, view results. Oh wow! Which 2017 film features a kid witnessing a cult ritual? The Ritual, It, The Babysitter, Mother, Happy Death Day. It's The Babysitter. It's on Netflix. It's awesome. And The Babysitter, the second one, it's not called like The Babysitter. It's like 2. It's both films are excellent. Highly recommend.
The sequel, which is also a horror movie, is called Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh, I wish.
One of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, I do need to call it a night, so I'm going to bounce. Meph, Heywoah, absolute pleasure, an honor to hang with both of you.
Hey, thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good time. Chat gang, always good to hang out with you. I think something just broke.
No, I dropped one of my dice and sticker collections on the ground.
I thought it was like a sound effect package.
It really did sound like, yeah.
It sounded like that, like broken,
like the
scattering
broken
vase.
pot.
Yeah.
The clay broken pot thing. Yeah, exactly. All right, well, gentlemen, chat gang, have a good night.
Here,
I'm
get
gonna
a
sleep.
Easy mode question is the last one. Good luck. Thank you for hanging out with me. Have a good night, man.
Pleasure. I'm sorry that it got interrupted there, such as life, I suppose.
Well,
we vamped. I want to say this time a RantCast going overtime was not my fault. We played for dead air there for about an hour. Sure. So this for the first.
If anybody is mad at the person responsible for this, they can give a certain hotel a call and just be put on hold.
That's
or
right.
hear an empty receiver and leave their feedback.
Take it easy, boys.
Later.
Sure. What's the last? The final lightning round.
Yep.
Also, Insomniac painting. Thanks for 1,000 bits. Appreciate it.
All right. Easy money. All right, there we go. We got through all of our...
Drop the number of the hotel. 1-800-420-6900.
Nice.
Don't call that, by the way, as we learned on stream.
Yeah. Last polls out, everyone. Just checking real quick as this poll cycles through as everyone...
What body part does the monster in Jeepers Creepers collect? Privates, hands, ears, eyes, lips.
So, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you so much for the biddies. Biddies. See, bits, turning bits into a 2-syllable thing. I say biddies.
Yeah, put an extra syllable in there. Yeah. Give it one of those. I can't remember what they're called. It's not a plosive, but it's a...
Oh, the director is a real and actual creeper, which is, yeah.
You got to be more specific about that one, Maid Pandora.
Well, they're no Roman Polanski, but they are a shit.
No. But those are narrowed down too much in Hollywood. Even these days, although it has gotten a lot better.
Well, I mean, Hollywood had their Me Too. We're still waiting for like the Me Too movement in other aspects of culture, and we're still waiting for that. I do want to real quick before we, as this poll wraps up here, just say it is Mephtober. My holiday lasts an entire month, and it is not bound by conventional time. I will be streaming 30 days, even though it might seem like 25 or 24 days, because I will be taking breaks as I need them. In the past, this is my 6th Mephtober. In the past, I've ran all 30 days. It takes its toll on me after a while. I'm not going to allow that to happen this year. This is supposed to be about me.
This is fun.
And remember, it's supposed to be fun. And I'm a mental health...
Maybe the fun version of 30 days is 25. Who's counting?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I am the loquacious Lich King. I put the demisexual and demi-lich. I am unbound by your conventional mortal understandings of time. So it might be 30 to me. It is Mephtober. My name is Mephisto.
A little play on words,
Yeah. Like I said, all the fun, but you get to keep your teeth. So it's horror themed. There will be 5 more of these rantcasts with horror themes. I've got Dr. Alex Milones, who is an anxiety expert. He is a clinical psychologist. We'll be talking about hobby fears. He's gonna be bringing his clinical psychologist background to it. We're gonna be talking about like tools for overcoming like hobby fears and stuff like that. It's sort of like the follow up to this episode. I've got a what is it? I called it the Swoltergeist. is next
Big.
week with Chuck Moore, Mr. Strength Hammer himself. So he's going to be possessing the stream. We're going to be talking about like health and fitness. I've got Chat Gang goes trick or treating. So there's a lot of it's all the so all my podcasts this month will be live like this. They'll feature a horror theme, and then the other 30 days, I don't know, time's meaningless, will feature horror games and RPGs and one-shots and stuff like that. I'll be all over, and the whole time we'll be collecting money to write Love on Her Arms, which is a mental health charity focused on depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. I said it was kind of serendipitous how I ended up doing it because I can't run 2 charity marathons this hard. I will have a full and actual schedule for everybody tomorrow with all the content, the giveaways, and stuff like that. I got a little bit behind the 8 ball. I do apologize for that. But anyone who's donated this evening, your Tiltify information is my information now. I have it all. You'll be entered in all those giveaways because that is my mistake for not having all that stuff prepared today. Hey, well, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was waiting. It does not need to interrupt, though.
Oh, I kind of said my spiel, I think. So.
All right. Waffles Enjoyer asks, is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable? I have a real answer to this meme question. Botanically speaking, it is a fruit, but nutritionally, it is considered a vegetable. Things can be 2 things. Depending on context. There you have it. Get on. Also good meme.
Yeah. So, Chat Gang once more coming through. I don't think Chat Gang has lost any one of these trivia questions tonight, by the way. We've had some close ones, but tonight it was what body part does the monster in Jeepers Creepers collect? Eyes. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get them peepers? Boom. It's in the song. By the way, that song is forever haunting. Lips had some votes too. It was actually second place, and then Ears. And Privates was a poor joke on my part because the fucking director's a creeper, and I wanted to be sure that I could like mention how the director's a horrible person. And then Hands, because Hands, So yeah, thank you so much, Chat Gang, for hanging out with us this evening. Thank you for all the donations, the donos, as it were, the biddies, the subscriptions, all this stuff. Yeah, let's do this again. Tomorrow is the ritual. Not like the ritual. Tomorrow
You're
is
ready tomorrow for the ritual.
the ritual. I summon myself to the field for the ritual.
Sorbo, the forbidden one? God damn, what a callback.
Yeah, deep cut. Yeah, we went fucking deep on that one. It's almost like we have like 14-year-old jokes between each other. Tomorrow's Alan Wake's American Nightmare.
Speaking of classics,
I should be able to grind that one out in one night. I play either that one or Alan Wake. I go back and forth. It's the game that started Mephtober, so I kind of start with it every year. One day I mentioned I've been streaming for 9 years. One day I decided I was going to stream Alan Wake, and it turned into 30 straight days of horror games 9 years ago, and I've just like kept doing it every year ever since. Even like I've had years where I just don't stream at all, and then I come back and just for 30 days I'll stream horror games. And Alan Wake's the game. So tomorrow we play Alan Wake's American Nightmare. I can beat that one in one night. It depends on how many rants I go on, but there'll be trivia. I will have the giveaways ready. I've got some Marvel Crisis Protocol shit. I've got some board games. I've got some video game codes for Steam. I've got a lot of indie games to showcase this year. I've got Vampire Survivors, which was donated to me from Travis. I've got
that's a fun game. It's totally worth the $1.
I hear it's the game of the year 2022, and I want to see it. So I got a bunch of.
I don't know too much about indie games, but that was one of the indie games I played. I'm just like, talk about getting your money's worth. This is fun, and there's all sorts of fun little references and goofy stuff in there. Remember fun?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's indie showcase.
$2, you will get your $2 worth out of that one. I say.
You can have different classifications, nutritionally, botanically, federally, blah 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 blah.
And Catholically, yeah, for the purpose of Lent, right? Where they for some reason consider fish to be not meat.
No, there are no waifus in that vampire game.
No, the waifu is the flashlight.
guess there is a waifu in it.
Oh, you're talking about Vampire Survivors. There are a bunch of different characters you can play as, so there is that you unlock, and you're supposed to, like, it's one of those games where you're supposed to play it and then die, and then unlock something, and then play it and die, and unlock something, and so on and so forth. So
yeah,
just like when I was doing the ASMR shotgun streams, I was playing Doom 2, and they're like, "This isn't the waifu game." I'm like, "Wrong. The shotgun is my waifu."
You have such a specific brand these days too, which is fucking fascinating. You have sculpted.
Like I like Age of Sigmar and I like waifu games, and apparently the umbrella term of waifu games also includes boomer shooters. Okay? Right what you know, right?
Well, I mean that's why I love October, and I know like holidays and stuff like that. Whatever, some people get grumpy about them, but it's like the one time a year where I feel like all the voices in my head finally make sense. I played Death in Age of Sigmar, right? I played Space Vampires in 40K and or Necrons, so you have undead, death, horror shit. I tend to play mostly horror video games. I tend to write horror fiction, and most of my RPGs are thrillers, mysteries, or horrors. Even if they're like gonzo AF, like they're really over the fucking top. Like the RPG stories I write are like, they're very anime inspired, like horror, where they're like really over the top weird, but like they have these little like salt and pepperings of like horror themes where you're just gonna have the one episode where like you have to find a doll that's been possessed by the spirit of a child, and it's fucking weird and it makes you feel some kind of way, and you're just like, oh, this is like the worst adventure ever because like I'm actually haunted IRL. I'm like, yeah, sorry, but okay, now go kill the Magic King who's like trying to collect all the artifacts or something. Also pilot this library that is a mecha because it's sweet. And how the fuck does all this align together? So like this is the one time a year where I feel normal because everyone else has to kind of conform to me.
What do you call a floating library?
Alexandra?
Library.
Oh,
Got him.
Oh yeah, okay. So there's 2 pies in an oven. One pie looks at the other pie and goes, "Damn, it's hot in here." What's the other pie say? "Fuck a talking pie!" So I just want to say, on behalf of the Halloween conglomerate, the commune of horror aficionados, you as the Christmas stan,
as part of the Christmas coalition, yeah, and the Halloween coven. What's the?
Yeah, I think with
I was gonna say Halloween harem, but that's
I take it, but like I think the cabal, like the
Halloween cabal.
Yeah,
I want to extend my congratulations for creeping ever farther, expanding your borders on the other side of the calendar, encroaching on other months, and eventually holidays.
Yeah, we took September. We just took that. That's ours now.
Yeah.
Halloween Eve is September. We took it.
As you know, Christmas has been slowly devouring Thanksgiving with our mass, and in under 10 years' time, Thanksgiving will simply be a meal you have at the beginning of the Christmas season.
Mm-hmm.
And we wish you well in your expansion as long as it moves in the direction of counterclockwise on the calendar. And one day, a shining future, rainbows and gold paved streets everywhere, Christmas and Halloween will meet on the other side of the map, and exactly half of the year will be Christmas, and exactly half of the year will be Halloween. And I only hope that we can respect our borders. We'll get to that.
Well.
But until then, congratulations on your expansion.
Yeah, thank you very much.
As is proper as for any holiday of power.
It's funny because we used to
the
just
week
be like,
shall be absorbed, and at some point, Halloween. At some point, there'll be like a green week during Halloween, where you dress up as green ghosts and stuff like that, and that's simply the way of things.
Yeah, we'll continue to absorb. There'll be like the explosion Halloween day, where we have consumed the Independence Day, when we're just like, oh yeah, that's the day where we dress up in costumes and shit gets blown up.
Yeah,
but it's still Halloween. Yeah, no, we
and at some point, July 4th, Independence Day, will be celebrating not their independence of America, but their independence from being considered Independence Day, and rightfully being considered Christmas firework time.
Yeah. Like, we don't want to talk about what happens after the revolution. Like, but I don't mean like 4th of July. I mean like when the calendar is divided like 6 months and we're both like eyeing up November 3rd, you know? Like, which is, of course, if you're familiar with like All Hallows Eve, Halloween technically kicks off the sort of like the week where the veil is the thinnest between the living and the dead. And the 3rd is supposed to be the day where it is the thinnest. And so that is also where like the Christmas spirit probably aspires to go, because like that's where they can pull most of their like Christmas spirit energies.
Well, the spirit of Christmas is to expand and absorb weaker, lesser holidays with our might.
Well, I mean,
good comment. Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but in Canada, Thanksgiving is before Halloween. I just got to tell you. Not for long.
No. Both
Not
of
if
us
we
are.
have anything to say about
it. yeah. Both our delegations will be absorbing any Thanksgivings anywhere. And to be honest, like if one holiday has to like just get consumed, Thanksgiving. I mean, especially in America, fuck that. I like eating food, but
it's not even problematic to absorb such a thing into the Christmas season. We got that shit on our sides. We're the good guys. You know, it's the opposite of that one meme where they're like, "Are we the baddies?" No, we are the good guys here.
Yeah,
it deserves this.
Yeah, it's fantastic. No, it's
thank you for your patronage.
Yeah. All right, Jack. Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know I had a lot of fun. Welcome back to me. I'm back doing AOS content. I've got 2 tournaments booked for next year. I have an army to finish for that shit. And rules to learn again, because there's like a new GHB and there's some new armies to beat and stuff. So I have to I got to get back on my game. I've been disconnected for 2 months. So
time to play some games.
Yeah, time to grind.
Thank you for watching, chat. Appreciate it. Always like coming on the Meph show.
Yeah.
See you guys later on this week.
Yeah. And if I don't think anyone's watching me right now, you all have to know who Heywoah is. Heywoah Twitch. Go follow his shit. He really is the best there is at what he does.
I make Age of Sigmar content and play waifu games and some boomer shooters. That's it. Just those 3 things.
But it's all excellent. So watch it.
And once every 4 years, maybe upload a YouTube video. But you know.
You've been hitting them once a month now. You've gotten a few. And like,
yeah, I mean, once a day is what you're supposed to do. But you know,
once a week. Once a week is actually where like the sweet spot of like the content creators who have like actual heavy editing, which you do, like it's once a week for most of them.
Yeah, I think so. But they have like teams.
Yeah. And then you've got like H-Bomb who like drops 1 video a year, and it's the most like thoroughly
historian or something where it's like once every 6 months, and it's just some they put enough editing into that it could have been like an episode of TV.
Yeah. It's so much. It's like been so thoroughly researched. They've had like sensitivity readers and shit at that point. Like, yeah. Heywoah Ultimate Chill Channel, perfect. Yeah, just Heywoah and chill.
I'm just chilling, talking to chat.
Yeah, just
that's
Heywoah.
The gimmick of Twitch.
And listen to that dulcet there. See, like I've got a baritone as well, but my baritone goes up here a little bit, and his is just like it stays buttery and smooth.
It goes up in the nasal.
Yeah. No, it's that.
And mine is right under. It's like it sits on the
in
beard,
the gullet, like
hanging,
right in the
hanging from the beard.
That's what it is. The beard pulls your tone down, like you know, like I have to drive mine back down and out of my nose, and usually no, it just hangs out. The beard is like the anchor for the dulcet. All right, yeah, all right, chat. I'm out. Thanks for watching us tonight. See you tomorrow. Alan Wake, American Nightmare. Come back. Do more horror trivia and enter some giveaways and do some good shit for charity. Heywoah, thanks for hanging out. And wait, I have a sign off I usually say. That's how out of practice I am. Chat gang, thank you so much for watching us tonight. You're the show within the show, the reason I do this thing. Remember to drink your milk, pay your taxes, and be excellent to each other. We'll catch you next time.